justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, that's assault, break that up, pop that there, that's assault, that's assault, break that up, pop that there. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, that's assault, it is, you cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up, these people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. Out of that show, I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Break that. That's break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Pop that. That's assault. That's assault. Pop that. Break that. That's assault. Pop that here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. Out of that show, I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Pop that chair here. You cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Pop that chair. Pop that chair. Pop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Pop that chair. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Break that up. Pop that chair. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. It is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will tell you exactly what happened. Break that up. Break that up. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will be. Excuse me. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. Pop that chair. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Break that. Break that. Break that. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Pop that. That's assault. That's assault. Pop that. Break that. That's.
I'm sorry. I'm pausing mid-song. I can't wait anymore. I have to show you guys this. Hugin just walked up and strummed it with his nose. And I'm like, it's a sign. It's not assault. It's a sign. I have to show you this. Guess what I found by a dumpster? It wasn't Jen McCabe. Just wait. Hold on. What the fuck? It's a goddamn harp. Look, I'm in jail. Look. It's a harp. It's a fucking harp. Are you kidding me? I wish you could see that. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this. It's out of tune, but it's a harp. It's in great condition. Here, Hugin, you can play it. Play your harp. Songs of the heavens, you sweet little boy. Can you believe it? I found a harp. I was walking Hugin before the stream started, and I've always wanted a harp. And one of my best friends, Danica, plays harp, and she's really good at it. In case you guys didn't know, before I switched to journalism, I was a music student. And I played clarinet, and I play guitar, and I play piano, and I play a whole bunch of instruments. But I even fucking Brennan out sometimes. Yes, I have a whole set of every key of harmonica. Yes, I do. However, I've never played the harp. I've always wanted to learn, never done it. I found it's like brand new. It's beautiful, isn't it? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I found a harp today. Austin is the best because here's the thing. It's all failed musicians and successful musicians. And the failed ones leave their instruments by dumpsters when they give up. They go, oh, I hate this. This was not the life I chose. And then they leave amazing instruments out. I have found a steel guitar by a dumpster. I have found banjos. I mean, my God, one of them was a gold tone worth lots of money. And I found a harp. I found a fucking harp. Isn't that cool? Okay, that's it. I just had to show you that before anything else happened because I'm shaking. I'm so excited. Oh my God, I found a harp. This is so exciting. Anyway, continue.
That's a song. Drop that chair here. We have video for just these people are going to eject you from this line. Out of that show, I will be song. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's a song, right? Drop that chair here. Man, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's a song, right? That's a song, right? Drop that chair. Drop that chair. Drop that chair. Man, these people are going to eject you from this line.
First of all, love that you're wearing your Thank You Paul t-shirt. Thank you to everybody who got merch last month. I'm so excited. Tomorrow's the day I think that we get paid and I'm going to send it to Francis. This is exciting. This is very exciting. It's a miracle. And it wasn't in the trash. It was next to the dumpster. Like they just put a whole bunch of stuff there. And I saw the harp and I stopped my car and I said, oh my God. And then I grabbed it because what? That's right. I can play at funerals. This is so exciting. Fuck getting paid to cry at someone's funeral. I'm going to play the harp. I'm going to play the harp. This is incredible. I did go to band camp. I did go to a band camp and I went to church camp. I went to all kinds of camps. I loved camp. I was the kid who was like, send me to a camp. And I always got to go on the charity ticket, which is fun. That's always fun. When it's like, don't worry, we've banded together and got you the money to go to this camp with us. And I fucking loved it every time. I even loved church camp. That was so fun. Selling my soul to Jesus so that I could fucking do the rock climbing wall. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's a song. Oh, I will win. That's a song.
I do feel like I'm peaking. I feel like these goth kids. I did this dance when I found the harp. I immediately did the goth kid dance. I was so excited. You're wearing your I Got Touched shirt. Good. You know what? At least something good came out of that bullshit with those psychos who have not stopped being psychos. And you know what? It looks bad on them. Fuck them. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get you. Okay. You're a million miles away. Kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Hola, mi amores. Listen, college towns are great for abandoned stuff. Okay? They are very good for that. You know what? Don't worry about status here. You're all the same now. I'm done with ranks. You know what? No, I'm just kidding. I'm still ranking you guys. I would never. Okay, let's keep going.
That's a song. 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 Oh, I will. That's a song. 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 That's a song.
Yeah, Christian boys always be edging, if you know what I'm saying. They always be edging, right? We finally figured that out. On this day, I am edging, 'cause I'm a good Christian boy.
I will be telling you. That's a song. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly about it. Drop that chair here. That's a song. Right there.
I love you too.
That's a song. That's a song. Oh, I will
No,
be
I
telling you.
never time her out.
Oh, I will.
Listen to me, mods. Never time out, turd. Let her go. Let her be a free turd. Wrenches all around. Everyone gets a wrench. Whatever upsets everyone. Hello, Lois. Hello, Lois. How are you? Hey, I got your message. I read it. Jesus Christ, hon. I'll write you back soon. I haven't figured out how to add people in chat on my phone. You know what? I still don't know how any of this shit works. I still don't know half the time. Half the time, I don't even know how you guys get memberships. I don't even, am I supposed to be I think I'm supposed to be doing things for you. I will. I promise. You love it when I sing? Oh, good. Good. You're the only one. Yes, baby boys and berry. Gifts abound. Gifts abound here.
That's a song. 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 Oh, I will. That's a song. 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 That's a song.
Listen, we're gonna do some goofy videos before we start, and don't think I didn't throw a rota in there. Don't think I didn't. What? Mia Beto dance connect. By the way, we do need to do a When Harry Met Sally watch along because I keep every time you post something about it. Was it you? You posted it earlier, right? That goddamn wagon wheel coffee table. She found that, or he found that by a dumpster, right? Dude, time is a flat circle. Time is a flat ass circle. But you know what isn't flat? The earth.
Savage beauty. Look at that powerful body. Strength, grace, magnificent form. How does the tiger manage to...
Wait, what? She quoted Feral Children? That rules. I'm gonna have to ask her about that. I'm like, oh, you know about the Feral Children song? Melanie Wood. She's low-key, she low-key knows some deep cuts, dude. She low-key knows some deep cuts, dude.
To keep himself at the peak of physical fitness for his entire life. He doesn't lift weights, work machines, perform calisthenics or aerobics, and he doesn't jog, yet he can tear the head off a man. His power comes from his own exercise system, far different from man's, and also far superior. It is the ultimate exercise system, which I call Tiger Moves. Ironically, when man sets about to improve his health and physical fitness through...
Oh, she said that's assault? Is that what Melanie said? She said that's assault? That fucking rules too. What?
exercise, he devises systems which lack the simple wisdom of the tiger. Low-impact aerobics has far less injuries than high-impact, as does belly dancing with its smooth and completely natural moves. Tiger Moves, the best and most natural exercise system man can use. I'm John McSweeney, and I'm going to...
By the way, in case you guys didn't know, Larry Legend, are you still here? This is actually a video Larry sent me of himself. Turns out Larry Legend is John McSweeney. I had no idea this whole time. We've been watching videos of Larry. Did you guys know that? This is just Larry. So if you like his nipples, let Larry know on Twitter. He would love to hear about it.
to cover 7 of these basic tiger moves. Inhale back with tension. Exhale forward. Try to reach for the stars. Reach
Hello,
as high as
Stevie?
you can.
Stevie, are you reaching for the stars? Are you doing your tiger moves, hon? Are you doing them every day? Make sure you do them every day, Stevie.
With tension, great tension. Come forward with great tension. Feel the tension in the triceps muscles. Think into those thigh muscles, the quadriceps, the hamstrings. The next tiger move is the stomach roll. This exercise now from the side, I push down and roll up. Flex, force it down. Come up. You've just learned in this tape 3 critical areas of life and self-defense. I'll leave you with one thought. It pertains to nations, it pertains to the individual. First a warrior, or all else is folly.
God damn. Ain't that true? Ain't that the truth? First a warrior or all else is folly. I still don't know what the fuck that means, but I like it. I might get it tattooed on me. Are you guys ready? I think Rhoda's coming up next. I don't have the heart to look. I'm too excited. Let's see. Yep. Okay. First of all, let's talk about Rhoda immediately before she starts. Let's get in there immediately before Rhoda begins. Love the shirt. Immediate first thoughts, love the shirt. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are a queen. You are a queen. You're my queen. You are our queen. So let me tell you something, Rhoda. I'm loving it. Like McDonald's, I'm loving it. But today, you're not in a McD's mood, are you, Rhoda? Nope. Nope. She's in a mood to talk directly to Wendy's. In fact, excuse me, she's holding Wendy's right there. And the title of this video is Wendy's Now Y'all Know. Immediate other first thought. She gave y'all the correct apostrophe. This is a mistake people commonly make. Look at me, common make. I can't even talk today. This is a mistake people commonly make. That's fun to say. They will oftentimes put the apostrophe after the A. To that I say, that's assault.
Good afternoon. I am the infamous Miss Rhoda Young Live, where
Yes, you are.
I am at
Turn her
Wendy's
up.
off of Grammy Street, where these kids and people inside of Wendy's feel like playing and bullshit. I ordered a junior cheeseburger with only the bottom bun. Someone tried to be funny and put me a junior cheeseburger inside a single with cheese wrapper, a single hamburger wrapper. Also with this hard ass bun, and this bun right here is a single with cheese bun. Okay, and put my junior cheeseburger on this big ass bun. I am an infamous Miss Rhoda Young Life, but we about to go cut the fuck up.
Okay, let's start. So, what happened to Rhoda on this day 5 years ago? She ordered a burger, it seems, with no bottom bun. Now, I don't know why she did that. She does look like she lost a little bit of weight. Maybe she's been taking out the bottom bun. Maybe she was doing no carbs at the time. That was popular for a moment, okay? But this was Rhoda. This was actually not her early days. I think this is the most recent Rhoda video from 5 years ago, which tells me that A, I need to take a Sudafed again, and B, this, she might have just lost a couple of pounds. Looks great. By the way, can I hop in and ask you guys, have you seen Lizzo? Have you seen Lizzo? Because God bless her. First of all, she's lost a ton of weight. Okay. Lizzo also had a glow up. Cursey Nursey. She had a glow up. Here's what I hate about it. Because I'm pretty pissed off a little bit that I hope she's doing it because she wants to and for her own health. Because the last we heard of her, everybody was fat shaming her, giving her a hard time, being really mean to her. And then she said, yo, y'all, fuck the internet. You're all mean. And she left. And I said, good for you. And then she came back thin. And I'm sitting here going, hey, do what's healthy for you. Do what's good for you. But I hope that it wasn't because people bullied the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, I just hope she's okay. But she does look fabulous. If you haven't seen Lizzo, wow. Wow, she put in the work. I'm proud of her. I just hope that it wasn't because people bullied the shit out of her. I really hope that it wasn't because, it's because she wants. I hope it's because she wants. I really do. There was also that lawsuit. Yes, there was that lawsuit. Everybody said she was mean to her dancers and stuff like that. I can tell you this. I remember when she started making videos playing her flute. And yes, of course I saw them. And that was before she was big. And the reason I saw them is because I'm a band nerd. I still talk to my band director is on my Facebook. That is my homie, dude. And she straight up used to play amazing solos on her flute and talk about it. And I really loved it. I really loved seeing her talk about it. I wonder if she had that too. You get the two plays. I can't use that stuff. The two-faced, it makes my lips break out if I use it. I don't know. There's something in it I'm allergic to. She does. She looks amazing. She's doing great. She looks like she's doing great. And a pussy banana. I don't know what that means. Oh, you're talking about from New Orleans. Oh, shit, dude. AJ out here paying attention. God damn. Yeah, she has been working out. She's an amazing flute player. You're a flautist. She's seriously good. And I'm telling you guys, she's very, very good at her instruments. Now, whether or not she was mean to her dancers, I have no idea. I do know a couple of people who march in football games. They're part of, one of them's on the Houston Texans band. And a couple of other friends who went on to do that. Like they march with, they're in marching bands for the NFL and stuff. And she hired some of them to work for a video. And my homie told me she was really nice, that she was like the nicest person ever, but he didn't tour with her. You know what I mean? I have a friend who toured with Todrick Hall and said he is literally the sweetest guy on earth. And so, like, when I do get chisme on celebrities, I'm going to talk about it. But I haven't heard anything bad about Lizzo until that lawsuit came. And then it was like, damn, I don't know. Yeah. You can't really be a good flute player and be mean to your dancers. Well, I mean, you can. You can. I've just never really heard anything about her being mean until that lawsuit came out. And then it was like, damn. We're talking about Lizzo. She lost a whole bunch of weight and then popped up. She popped up like peekaboo, like at the Super Bowl on fucking Twitter. She looks great. AG is correct as always. There's a Parisian pussy banana in that lawsuit. Oh, good. Well, good. I thought you were talking about New Orleans all over again. You cannot, says Cursey Nursey. Oh, shit. Yeah, AJ, how are you feeling? Were you sick, honey? I'm glad you're back. I just saw AJ. I've seen AJ recently. I don't know what y'all talking about. AJ, did you go away? Because I thought I saw you. Let's keep watching Rhoda. Let's see what's going on with Rhoda because she's on the scene. Something happened at Wendy's. They fucked on her burger. They did something wrong with her burger. You feel like poop? Well, goddamn. Number 2, poop? We got to get you a banana. Your head hurts? Oh, no. Well, we got to get you a Puce banana. That's the only thing that helps. Maybe Rhoda going hard on the Wendy's employees will help with your headache. Let's see. Let's see if we can cure AJ's headache. Are you ready?
I'm weak.
Attention everyone. They have Miss Mike.
Okay. All right. I immediately have some thoughts. This is just like the nail salon. Attention, everyone. So she's not just letting the employees know, she's letting everyone know. This is like when there is a problem, and instead of approaching the person privately, you go on Twitter and you go nuts. I don't know if I agree with this Rhoda behavior, but let's see, because she might have a good point.
Order up in the drive-thru. Allegedly, they call themselves being funny. Yes, sir. Go ahead out the back, the front door. You are a firefighter. Bad, looking goofy. Anyway, they messed my order up in the drive-thru. I'm here. How y'all doing today? How you doing?
How you
Yes,
doing?
yes.
How you doing?
Hey, y'all.
What's up?
Mr. Manager.
Okay, so far, Rhoda has beef, both literally and figuratively. Yes, she is at the Wendy's. She's at the Wendy's. She has announced to everyone that there is a problem, yet the employees do not seem to be paying attention. I am scared for them every second that goes by, that they do not acknowledge her. Let's see what happens. This is fun retribution.
This is really on live where I came through the drive-thru order a junior cheeseburger. One of the kids had an attitude because I did order additional burger at the window, a junior cheeseburger, instead of giving my burger like I asked for it. They chose to be funny and play with my food. I'm really upset. I found it very unprofessional. It's uncalled for. Right now, they wrapped the junior cheeseburger inside a hamburger wrapper, which belongs to a single hamburger. Okay, as well, they took the junior cheeseburger that was been on the junior cheeseburger bun and put it on a single with cheese bun, playing games with somebody's food. Ain't nobody got time for all of this. Mr. Manager.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to keep going.
So obvious the manager is in cahoots with these employees showing his bad behavior because he did come to the window.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I ordered junior cheeseburger at the window.
He is in cahoots, obviously. Now he is finally approached to say, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was a slow news day. The manager is on his way. Auntie Ree, we are about to find out what happens. No one has time for these games they are playing.
Nobody wanted to ring me up. However, when I did get someone to ring me up, I asked for my junior cheeseburger only with the bottom bun, which is this bun right here. Someone called this up being funny about putting my burger inside a single with cheese or single hamburger wrapper. It's not the proper wrapper for a junior cheeseburger. It should be a white piece of paper with red writing. As
Now I'm a little confused. I'm going to be honest. Is it the wrapper that's upsetting you, Rhoda, or is it that they were playing on your name? Because I'm upset for one, but the other, it's like, hey, you know, if they upgraded you on wrappers, technically, they gave you a silver one. I feel like that was actually something nice, but we'll see.
well as they chose to use this hard bun that belongs on a single with cheese or a single hamburger. And that's not how you do it. That's how my sandwich came out. And that's not what I ordered. Yes, what I feel as though your employees, because I ordered the one that was playing games with my food. I feel as though they disrespected me, and I feel like somebody needs to be reprimanded for doing that. Because they stood when they made my sandwich. We was watching them make my sandwich.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking maybe this might be not a good move for her. I agree with you. I feel bad for them that they're having to put up with this. I don't understand why she had to announce to everyone, but at the same time, I kind of respect it. Because it's like I just love the idea of someone walking into a room going, attention, it's me. It's Rhoda. I'm here. Main character energy, first responder energy, according to Aunt Deb. Lots of different energies going on here. Okay. But I'm not sure why this is happening to this poor guy. It looks like they're a little busy. I hope that Rhoda gives them grace.
And then when they get it to, it's like, or they put it in the wrong route, or they didn't give it to me the way I asked for it, as well as they put it on.
Rosemary, this could be true. She could have a bit of OCD. This could be a situation for her where it's like, I can't get over this. Is she Larry David or is she a Karen? What do you think?
Wrong button, so I feel like it's on the police on the bottom bun and add mayo. It's okay, but it's still you have what's wrong? I'm not gonna talk to you. Let me go my time because I'm not like that. You might want to talk to you because your employees take my food.
Yeah, I have to say, as someone who definitely worked in the service industry for a long time, I have to agree. If you're yelling at me when I'm busy and somebody else fucked up, I'm going to give you a disrespectful eye. But at the same time, it is Rhoda. It is Rhoda. Yeah, she's definite. She can have asshole moments too, and it looks like she is. It looks like she is.
Go call tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, give my money back. It's all as well.
Oh, she has so many keys. She has a lot of keys. Have you guys noticed how many keys she has here? No, this was pre-Ozempic. This is 5 years ago. She's got so many keys. What are you unlocking, Rhoda?
Okay, right now we just said a manager came outside inside the wrong uniform. We wasn't mean nor were we nasty. We explained what was going on. If she's embarrassed about what happened to my food, she should be chastising her employees for paying my food, not coming into the lobby and chastising me. As well as she just went into the back and told them not to make my food. All is well. Give me my money back and thank you for the videotape.
Okay, all right.
Now I see why these employees are doing these things to people food is because of how they've been taught. She's teaching them that behavior. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Come here. You see me? Come here.
Okay. Now I did hear someone in the background say to someone else, I'm where the action at. If that is true and the action is at this Wendy's, holy shit, how do we get there? What is the location? Can we go?
Now, can I get a refund, please, if she don't want to make my sandwich?
Yes, this is the same Rhoda.
So right now, since I'm running a complaint with some food, my food was made wrong. It was put on the wrong bun, put inside the wrong wrapper. She's
How much money they owe you?
$1.45.
Okay, yeah. I don't
Also
wanna be
wondering
next
that-
to
I mean, it's $1.45. No, I didn't. No, the man said he gonna make it himself.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute.
I almost thought
Uh-uh.
they did.
No, it wasn't about that. You don't want to make it because you took it personal, and you.
No,
That's
I don't want nobody recording.
No,
saying
you
that my
took it.
people
Well,
doing
no,
something
they
to their
did. You took it personal, and that was very unprofessional.
No.
And you
Okay,
are.
okay, hold on. I might disagree with Rhoda on this one. Because we saw the tapes, Rhoda. I love you, hun, but we saw the tapes. And even you said a minute ago, Rhoda, you said that I think that she came out here and wants us to turn off the camera so that she's not embarrassed by what's going on in her Wendy's. And then she went on to say this woman taught people wrong. Okay. Now, Rhoda, here's the problem. You were right earlier, and now you're arguing with her when she's admitting, yes, that is the case. I just don't want you spreading rumors that we're doing things wrong here. And Rhoda's saying, no, you took it personal. Rhoda, you're being a bit rude right now. Calm down.
You are the lead in
This
that
is
person.
true.
That's very unprofessional. You should have came out here and apologized to me for what your employees
Oh.
did. Now, the proper way for her to handle that was to come out here like the man did and apologize to me what her people did.
Do we have a new queen? Who is this Wendy's manager? Who is this Wendy's manager that just closed the... I'm so sorry. I'm going back 1 second and then we'll let this finish because did I just see that shit? Oh.
And that person, that's very unprofessional. You should have came out here and apologized to me for what your employees did.
Oh.
Now, the proper way for her to handle that was to come out here like the man did and apologize to me what her people did, but instead she want to give me the money back.
Okay? Her people. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to do that.
Which is fine and dandy. Okay, now we see why these people feel like it's okay to play with people's food inside the Wendy's because of the management team. I am the infamous Miss Rhoda Your Life. Well, yes, you did hear it here first. Before Wavy News 10, Channel 3, also Channel 13 News. Stay away from Wendy's.
I still love her, though. I still love her because she just called out the news stations for not covering this private issue. Okay, it's a private issue that Rhoda had in her car. There's no way for the news to know. Yet she is now calling them out. She's calling out the news. This is proof that not all heroes wear capes, but also not all heroes are right. Sometimes heroes fuck up and they become the villains. And right now, I'm afraid to say, after viewing this footage live with you kids tonight, I worry that Rhoda was the villain here. And that the hero, maybe not in a cape, mayhaps in a Wendy's uniform, being that manager. Because the moment she slammed the door in Rhoda's face, I said, hold on, Rhoda, take off your shirt and give it to her. She's the queen now. Wow. Story time. I had an old roommate named Robert. Now, me and him had a big falling out because he refused to pay some bills and left in the night. He wanted to go to Thailand to be a CNN photographer and correspondent. I said, sure, but pay the rent. You're in a lease, bub. He decided he didn't want to do that. So he took off in the night. Mad respect. Still pissed about it, but touche. Good one, Rob. Anyway, the reason I bring him up is because even though I can't stand him and I'm really pissed at him and he still owes me a lot of money, when we worked together in the service industry at a place that rhymes with shmee, shmake, schmactory, he had one of the sickest burns I've ever seen on a customer who was being extremely rude. Extremely rude. And twice in my life have I had friends do the same burn in different situations. And I was in awe of it both times. In this situation, we had a woman who decided to come in 3 minutes before close. 3 minutes before close. It was late at night. This meant that we are probably going to have to be there till 3 in the morning. Because the woman who came in, she was a regular and she was very difficult. Do you understand? She was very difficult to wait on. And every time we waited on her, we had an issue. There was always a complaint. She was one of those people, it's like she's going to get something for free. Hold on. I'm going to use this Weezer Pinkerton CD to prop up my microphone. I hope to be getting a new microphone soon. This woman came in right before close. She was being extremely rude. Robert had to wait on her. Me and him did together. We were the head servers, I guess, the closing servers. We were the ones who were there to the end, and we had to check out all the other wait staff to make sure that they could leave. Yes, I'm still using Leviathan. It's Leviathan and Pinkerton to hold up the microphone tonight. Thank you for asking. Excuse me. Robert decides that he will take this woman because he owed me. And as he is serving her, she likes to order hot tea. And she's one of those people, she'll let it get to where the water is just lukewarm and still drink it and insist on another round of hot water using the same tea bags. And she'll do it like 4 times, which is like 4 hours. She will sit there and she will drink every sip. And she will have her fucking, I don't even remember what she always ordered, but it was something really weird. It was like a biscuit and gravy with no gravy. It was something fucking strange. Anyway, he walks by. This is about 3rd time filling up the hot teapot. We are about 2 hours past close. We are exhausted. I had been there 16 hours that day. And as he walks past this woman, she says, "My hot water is warm." And he looks right at her into her eyes and he says, "That's unfortunate." And he walked away. Holy shit. He never approached the table again. I had to drop the ticket. The amount of rage she possessed in that moment and the amount of fucks he couldn't give was unbelievable. I loved watching the fallout of that moment. I've never seen a woman so fucking guffawed. She kept doing this. This is my favorite thing. She kept going like she couldn't breathe. She couldn't think of the words. That's how pissed she was. And I could not stop standing behind a big fake plant laughing. And when I see this, when I watch this woman slam the door in Rhoda's face when she is behaving very not like Rhoda, but also exactly like Rhoda, it reminds me of that moment. And I hope that Wendy's manager got a great vacation. And I hope that she got a promotion. And I hope that Rhoda learned a lesson about approaching a final boss. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, we do love Rhoda, but we can't show everyone at their best. Sometimes we have to be fair. Okay. Now we're going to get to the gabagool, the goods. Are you ready? So we're not going to read the full 30-page memorandum for Rex, but we are going to go over the basics. I'm glad that I took some time to do this instead of going by, hold on a second. Rosemary June. Do you know CJ? You know my buddy CJ, one of my best friend's future husbands. I believe you've worked with him. He's now a radio DJ. You worked in the building right next door. You might have seen CJ in the parking lot. You know nothing at Joe's? Okay. I did not work at that one. I worked at one in San Antonio way long before that, in the early mid-2000s. Yeah, I worked at a lot of restaurants. I actually worked at 3 restaurants at once one time in college because I had to pay for my own college. It was very hard. You are always watching the parking lot, though. So funny story. The exact guy I was talking about who said that's unfortunate lived behind you where you work. He lived there when this all went down because I used to drop him off. So I would have to go to that Joe's, to drop him off. Oh my God, I need to peel the psoriasis off my nose. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. It just itches. That's crazy. You work next door. Rosemary June, me and you and Mandy Joe, right? Or is it Mindy Joe? Where's MJ? We need to get together at a coffee shop here. We need to hang out. If you kids are in Austin, tell me. I will hang out with you. Now, I don't know if you want to hang out with me, but it would be fun. I think it would be fun to maybe do a live with some of you kids who live here in Austin. Where's Daniel? Get Daniel in on here. Hank's nefarious nose scrunch. Holy shit. I have a nose itch. I'm Hank's nose itch today. You couldn't get the Discord link to work? Let's do it right now live because people have been complaining about that. And I know that I have the power. So let me see if I can harness it right now. If everything pauses, I do apologize. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll put a different video on for you real quick. We'll put on Take Me to Hugin Church from Melissa. Okay. And I'm going to go find this Discord link and get it to you. And then we'll start talking about the rec stuff. Hold on one second. Let me pull that Discord link for you. Give me one moment. And let me just put this up real quick. Okay. And I'll be right back. I will be right back. Here we go. This is Melissa. Go follow the turd. Go follow Melissa. Melissa Asylum. Melissa with one ass, many asses. How many asses you got today, hon? Go follow her. And hello, Sassy Suze. I like your fuck it, duck it. All right, here we go.
Lift your hands, worship Him, exalt Him. Who can? You are Lord Dog Almighty. Worthy is the dog, worthy is the dog. You are the God. Alleluia, alleluia. For the Lord Dog Hugin reigns. Alleluia, alleluia. For the Lord Dog Hugin reigns. Hugin. Hugin, Hugin. You are Lord Dog Almighty. Worthy is the dog. Worthy is the dog, you are the Hugin. You are Lord Dog Almighty. Worthy is the dog, worthy is the dog. You are the Hugin. You are Lord Dog Almighty. Worthy is the dog Almighty. Worthy is the dog Almighty. Hugin, you are Lord God Almighty. Worthy is the dog, worthy is the dog, you are the Hugin. All the feral children sing, glory, glory, He reigns. All the feral children sing, glory, glory, He reigns. Hugin, you are Lord God Almighty. Worthy is the dog, you are the...
Well, you know, April is going to be a great time, but I might actually be in Boston for a few of those days. So we'll see, but I would love to. Let me know what days. Email me. We'll get together. We'll do a thing. Whoever lives here and wants to meet up, we'll go eat somewhere. Okay? You don't have to buy it. It doesn't have to be fancy either. Let's go somewhere real shitty. Let's find a Wendy's and go report live from inside. I think that would be fun. Or we can go to my old job at Cheesecake Factory and we can bother those waiters. I'm just kidding. But the Joe's Crab Shack is gone. Otherwise, I'd say let's go there. Maybe try inside the app. Oh, I just posted a link, by the way. And also, I want to say, I do find it amusing too. 86, by the way, means get rid of it. It means none. Like if you put 86 onions, that means no onions. And what's funny is 86 is 2 letters and so is no. And I never understood why they used 86 instead of just no. Also, I cannot recommend more for your feet or your hands or your knees or anywhere that's hairless, like the back of your knees or your ears. If you have psoriasis, get Scalpicin. It's liquidy. It's like water. It burns like shit, but for some reason works great on feet and toes and fingers. I'm out here doing shit, y'all. I'm out here doing shit, okay? Okay? 86 means don't. It means don't you dare. It means get rid of it. In the weeds means I'm busy. I'm busy. Corner means I'm coming around the corner. You better not fucking run into me. No, I didn't. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Can you resend? Because my email got bomb fucking barded and I'm still going through shit from like a month ago. And randomly, if one pops up on my phone, that's why I randomly see like newer ones. If something pops up on my phone and I can touch it and then the email pops up, I'm like, I've read this email. But to go back and the ones that it didn't alert me on, because I do have a new phone and I don't know why it works the way it does. It randomly restarts. I can't. It's not a bad phone, but it does take screenshots constantly when I'm just trying to turn on the volume. And it annoys the shit out of me. That is Hoog singing. That is his voice. This is the Discord link. It says that many people can use it and it will never expire. Also, Melissa, I believe the turd, I've put her in charge of all things Discord. I know that those evil fucking heifers across the pond want you to believe that their van life ex-boyfriend and ex-mod are in charge of it. He is not. He gave it to me a long time ago. He is banned and he has not been in and he is not welcome it. So get the fuck over that. Turd is in charge. Turd is in charge, you hateful cunts. Okay? So stop telling people that, okay? They're not listening. If they are listening, they're going to clip this and they're going to be offended and appalled. And you know what? Good. Appalled to you all, you should say thank you. How dare you, bitches? Not you kids in chat. I'm talking to the heinous ones. They know who they are. And when I come to Boston, I'm going to meet all of you and we're going to go get beans together and we'll get tea and we'll dump it in the harbor. It'll be fun. It will be fun. Don't you dare say that. Chili's is for everyone. It's for everyone. You don't like it? Don't like what? Yes, it is happening. It is happening. Do you understand? And also, if you ever worked, oh my God, it's Darlene. Speaking of wreck sightings, I feel like we need to do a poll. All the kids in Long Island, have you seen Rex? How did you know it was him? And what do you think? Was he spooky? Yeah, please send me that email again. I'll read it to everyone, unless you don't want me to. Tell me if you want me to read it or not, okay? Okay, we're going to figure this out. If you go turn off your phone and your thumb is on the volume, you will take a screenshot. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, though. It never did that before. Also, Laura, I saw your video. You sent me a video from out in God's country. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I was on Biologic, so yeah, beyond topicals, yeah. Most topicals don't work on me at all. They gave me this stuff called Metro Gel or something, and it was so fucking expensive, and it did nothing. But Scalpicin from Walmart worked wonders. Worked wonders. I cannot believe they lied about us. Let them be offended. They can suck my dick. All right, ready? Here's the hooks. Oh, shit. All right, Hanks.
Sally Portsmouth garage beds.
Whoops.
The mechanic shop is...
This is for later. Let's pause that. We don't need that right now. We don't need that. Hold on. I'm going to show. I'll go check that. I'm going to check it right now. Here's what I'm going to get back on the playlist task of what I was going to show you guys, and I'm going to go check that now because that actually is in line with what we're talking about today. So I do not mind at all. But the other day we were talking about the Nova documentary when we were watching that. And I was telling you guys about how there's areas in Long Island, I mean, in New Jersey, in different states, up in the northeast coast, if you will, where there are these things called pine barrens. And I've never heard of those before, except for like weird Mothman prophecies and shit, weird shit online. You know, when there's the Slender Man lore and stuff, creepypasta. Everybody says Mothman comes from there. I don't know. But what I do know is Pine Barrens was a big thing in The Sopranos. It's a big thing with Mafia. Anytime I look up stuff on mafia, which you know I'm obsessed with, Pine Barrens, that's where they dump the bodies, right? So I told you guys about how there was a big thing where they found a shitload of cars out there. And I found a couple of different news pieces about it. And one of them was from illegal dumping in the Pine Barrens in 1998. And it came from the Long Island Pine Barrens Society, which is a thing. And if we have to switch from select board to Pine Barrens Society, don't think I won't. But I found this interesting news piece. And I wanted to play it for you guys so you could see some of the areas out there where these bodies are popping up also happen to be areas where people dumped a lot of cars. So much so, there was so much that oil was getting into the water and it was causing issues with the wildlife. So they had to go pull all these cars out. And it makes me wonder if there was, you know, how people are like, oh, this is a weird dump site for a serial killer, let alone multiple. The mafia, all not just the Italian, like a lot of different crime families dumped shit out there too, in addition to vehicles, entire vehicles, so many that it fucked up the environment. So I want to show you this old fucking footage from 1998, and then I decided let's do what I like to do on all the cases, and let's see who the judge is for Rex Heuermann. Who's this judge? Who is what's his name? Meze. Who is this guy? What has he been in? What has he done? Can we see? How does he usually rule? I went through, there's a lot on him that is on papes, but I wanted to see if we could see him in action. We can't. There's not much there. But he did end up getting elected to some various local positions. And there were some ceremonies that he was in. And I thought, well, let's watch those. One's 41 seconds, one's a minute. Let's see what this judge is like, right? So it's going to show you I'm going to show you this illegal dumping in the Pine Barrens news piece. And then it's going to go into the judge for Rex Heuermann. It's not a lot to pull from, but it's just interesting seeing, you know, it's like who's Bev? Remember when we first heard about Bev? Who's Bev? What's her deal? Why she got Dilbert hair? Well, now we're going to find out who Meze is. Meze? I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll figure it out. But here, watch this. Check this out.
Some very strange sights over the Long Island Pine Barrens today. This flying Volkswagen bus is actually dangling from a Black Hawk helicopter. It's one of more than 50 abandoned vehicles being airlifted out of the protected area. Not because it's unsightly, but because of the danger it presents to the underground aquifers supplying Long Island's drinking water.
The Pine Barrens overlie the greatest quantities of the purest drinking water on Long Island, and anything that gets into the ground can get into the groundwater, including oil and gasoline and solvents used in automobiles.
Officials say about half of the cars found in the Pine Barrens are actually stolen. This Blazer was taken from a West Hampton car dealership about 2 months ago. It was stripped of all its parts.
And I have
Army
to say,
helicopters have to be used.
let me pause it for a second. So there was a case in New Jersey with a couple that went missing after they left a bar. And it's a really old case. And it makes me wonder a lot about this because there were some vehicles that were found in the water that would have been the route to, I believe, the gentleman's house. But there were also various areas around, and this is in Pennsylvania, where there were places like the Pine Barrens where vehicles burnt out and some just dumped with the tires removed, some that had been joyridden, just dumped out in the woods. And it occurred to me, you know, one of the things that I always bitch about is how close you guys all are to each other up there. You've got Connecticut and Jersey and fuck, even like Vermont and all these places. You just, New York, you just drive 20 minutes and you're in a new state. It's fucking unbelievable. So if you're doing something nefarious, I'd be willing to bet 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to dump the evidence somewhere outside of the state line if it's possible and it's not far. So it makes me wonder, you know, if any of these cars that get removed every couple of years with all the shit scrubbed off and the VIN gone, I hope that they are working across the borders, if you will, with the other states to determine if any of them belong to any of these missing people from other states. It's very interesting. And keep in mind, this was only 4 years after CODIS had started and only 2 years since it had a good amount of people in it, like over 300. And CODIS is very specific to people, right? But what about the evidence? I think that's a question that maybe I'm going to have to ask Duty Ed. Let's keep going.
Vehicles are abandoned too deeply in the Pine Barrens for tow trucks. Besides benefiting the ecology, Operation Get the Wreck Out helps the Air National Guard train.
Not everything you're going to do in a combat situation is going to be according to the book. So it gives us a chance to think outside the box while we're giving something back to the community and training.
Officials say even though some of the cars pulled from the Pine Barrens have been abandoned for decades, most still have the oil and gasoline inside, contaminants that will no longer find their way into Long Island's drinking supply. In Manorville, John Muller, News Channel 4.
So one of the reasons I played that for you is because specifically these Pine Barrens are in Manorville. And when I started looking into it, like, okay, well, where did they remove these cars from? Specifically, a couple of the areas were where they found bodies that people are pretty much constantly saying, like, oh, this one could be connected to Lisk. This one could be connected to Lisk. And they're bodies from the early 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s. And that wasn't the first scoop up they did of the Pine Barrens. So it's interesting that they're in the Pine Barrens of Manorville, where some of these bodies were very close to. And it makes me wonder, did they see anything back then? Should that area be searched again? Was it? I believe in April they did some searches out there. Were there more cars? What have they found? Are they still getting debris out? I don't know. Let's check out this this judge. This is the judge for Rex. Also, holy shit. I'd like to talk to you about this one day, little
Do
miss.
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of councilman in the 5th Council District, and according to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Congratulations,
I will be a supervisor who will reach across party lines, as I have done in the past. I will speak to all members, every one of the members on the town board, not just those in my caucus. For the past 5.5 years, I have worked with different levels of government. And to be able to accomplish the things that I've been able to accomplish here in my district, I've had to work with members of other parties, of other levels of government. I served on the school board here at Bayport Blue Point many years ago. So I feel very strongly about the community and certainly about the town that I live in. My parents were both born here in the town of Brookhaven. In fact, both were born in Blue Point, believe it or not. My father went to school at Blue Point Elementary School. I went to school at Blue Point Elementary School. And I'm proud to say that my daughter, Angelina, is in Miss Kelly's 3rd grade class at Blue Point Elementary School.
Begin with the latest developments in the Gilgo Beach murder case.
Hold on. I'm reading this email right now. Holy shit. Holy shit. Question. Can I read this to everyone? If not, it's totally okay. But if I can, I would love to, because how did I miss this? Wow. This is an insane, insane in a good way email. Like, I can't. Huh. Yeah, I'm going to wait for an answer. Because I want to know if I can read this to everyone. Because what? What the fuck? And also, did you call this in? Because if you haven't called it in yet, I can read but no names. Okay. Okay, so I can read but no names. All right, I will give no names. But did you call it in? Hank's Nefarious Nose Scrunch? Like it, because if you haven't called it in, or you know what I mean? If you haven't gotten to report it, I think that it might be good to do that before I read this. I saw nothing that was to call in. But if you saw him parked there, Okay, how about this? I'll read it, but I do think you should call it in. You thought it was cops? Yeah, I saw that. That's why I'm like, I think that you should call this in maybe just in case. And if you want the number or a way to reach out, I will email you with that. Because I do think that this is something I actually do think this is very important. I know that it's just a sighting, but especially if it's that location that you're talking about, I don't know. This is interesting though. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read it. Let me pop it over here. Hold on. Let me stop sharing that. And let me pop this over here. I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to read it. But I do think this is fascinating as fuck. I mean, to his accomplices. Wait, what do you mean? No, I'm talking about to the police. I think you should call this into the task force. You know what I mean? I still show they're not going to be a target by Ellie if they're his accomplices. Who, Rex's? I don't think they're Rex's accomplices at all. They're trying to bust him. I'm talking about the task force. Not yeah, they're trying to bust him. Like I'm talking about Rodney. Well, Rodney's not there anymore, right? I don't know. We'll talk about it later, but I do think that this is something that I mean, personally, I think that this is something that they would like to know, because that alone is, I mean, that's pretty important. How about this? What if I'll read it? We're not going to give any names. We'll see what the kids think, because I do think that this is really important. I don't think the police are accomplices at all. In fact, I can tell you that, you know, a couple of people that are very beloved by you kids actually know the people on the task force personally and have insured me whenever people have tried to give me tips and stuff. I'm like, go talk to this person. They can put you in touch. They're very anti the Burke administration, if you will, the old Burkies. And I don't think that you would be talking to anybody local to Suffolk. I believe you would be talking to FBI directly. And I do believe you can remain anonymous. So if you want, I can send you that info, because I think this is very important. I'll read it. You kids, you know, tell me what you think. Yes, tell us what you think, but I'm not going to use any names. This is very interesting, though. Yeah, no one likes or liked Burke. Everyone hates James Burke. I promise you. And I've tipped in some stuff on this case a long time ago, back pre-Burke. Well, pre-Burke being the chief. And they were very polite and kind, and I never got any issues with them. I don't have to live there, though, so I understand. But I don't think you would be talking to anybody local. I think you would be directly in touch with task force people. But I can send you info on that if you need. Okay, here's what it says. I have a little tidbit for you about Lisk. I think Lisk may have stored the bodies somewhere before dumping them right before they were found. I can only refer to the second batch that was found all at once in February of 2011. And it was about a day between dumping and the law finding them. Such a coincidence. Ask if there's anything I leave out inadvertently. Okay. I saw Heuermann at the dump sites. I thought he was a cop. He was off to the side of the road several places. Okay, one question is, what do you mean it was a day between dumping and the law finding them? Because some of those bodies were really old, and there's just no way it was a day, because they had a lot of stuff on top of them. So they knew, you know, you could kind of tell like how long something's been there. Like, for example, okay, Shannon, for example, there would have been a hurricane in between her going missing and them finding her, right? So there is a chance that pieces got scattered or were missing. But there's debris and erosion and stuff that can be on top of them. I was there a day or so before the discovery of them. Okay. So, I see what you're saying. So you were there a day before the discovery of the bodies. Okay, that makes sense to me. All right, excellent. So, and you saw him there. See, what I'm wondering is, was he there to visit? Because it's 100% in his profile that is what he would do. It's also something that sadists do. And when we're talking about Lisk, you know what I mean? That seems like something, I mean, it's something that Douglas and a lot of people predicted his exact type would do. And I always wondered if he revisited. Because we know for a fact that some of them were there before. So I'm thinking he might have been visiting the day before and possibly maybe dumped one. Let's see. I saw Heuermann at the dump sites. I thought he was a cop. He was off the side of the road several places along the beaches from Montauk going west along the southern edge of Long Island in the Hamptons. Okay, I know what you're talking about. This was Sunday, February 13th, 2011. Yep. And you know what's weird is they said that they yeah, you never saw any bodies. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. All right. So yeah, he was probably just visiting. He wasn't like dumping them. I see what you mean. So it was I see what you're saying now. Okay. Also, I want to point out, isn't that weird that February 13th, right, was when this happened? I believe it was like, was it the 13th when they figured out who he was, and the 14th when they busted him and then put the indictment out? And that was almost, it was what, 10, 11 years later, 11 years later, 12 years later. That's interesting that it was that day. Wow. So itchy. He was unmistakable with his pumpkin head. That's the part that made me go, shit, I believe you. He does have a pumpkin head, doesn't he? I thought he was a cop. He was driving aggressively around my husband and I. I thought we were going to get a ticket for being too poor, car too ugly to be in the rich neighborhood because you were near the Hamptons. I have felt that way a million times. Driving somewhere very like fancy, and I'm in my shitty mid 2000s Honda, and I'm like, oh, yikes, I'm going to get pulled over. Also, do you remember, was he in the Avalanche? He would have been in the newer Avalanche, right? Let me see. We were there for an art show I was in annually. And I'm not going to say the specifics. You've been in it since the early 2000s. Okay, I'm not going to say that after that. I don't want to ID you. It was the first time my husband and I traveled to the event I'd shown in for years. We didn't imagine we'd ever be able to afford going back there. So we decided to check out the famous beaches and the good people, the famous beaches the good people go to. It was freezing cold, and there were only 2 cars on the road the whole time. One was mine, the other was Lisk's. Yikes. There was a vehicle at the end where there's some sort of military installation or something in Montauk. I know what you're talking about. Is that a lighthouse? I'll check later. You thought it was a big SUV. And you know, I wonder, did he have a camper top for his Avalanche ever? I do wonder about that. There was a big vehicle at the end where there's some sort of military installation or something in Montauk. The very end, there was a burgundy pickup truck. That is how come I saw Lisk off the side of the road in several places. He came after us. I had no idea because I never saw him do anything but be outside of his vehicle on the side of the road. I never saw bodies. Okay. I really thought that he was an unmarked or private cop. And when the news came out the next few days, they discovered a new batch of bodies. I still assumed that guy I spotted was the cop who found them. I kept hearing the second batch of victims was discovered a day or two later, but I figured cops lie and manipulate for their own reasons all the time. True. And you know what's weird? The 13th is when they claim to have indicted him, and then they released it on the 14th, but all of the timelines from the media say the 14th. So I can see the consternation and well, let me just put it this way. I can see there being a day or two lag, and I can see why you would think that. I would have probably thought the same thing, especially considering back then the Long Island cops were extremely fucking corrupt. Not all of them, you know, God bless Dodi Ron, but I'm talking about like he was NYPD, right? I'm talking about Burke's crew. They were the worst. I really thought he was an unmarked or private cop. And when the news came out the next few days, they discovered a new batch of bodies. I still assumed that guy I spotted was the cop who found them. I kept hearing that the second batch of victims was discovered a day or two later, but I figured cops lie and manipulate for their own reasons all the time. It made no difference to me. I attached a photo of me at that place you were at. as published in, and I'm not going to say where, but I saw the picture. Huh. Fascinating. Fascinating. Wow. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Now, Dawn Marie, Darlene, what do you guys think? You guys are in the area. It had a top. I thought it was a big SUV. Okay. Interesting. Maybe wasn't the Avalanche. Maybe not. Yeah, it's the Tippy Tip. And I know that there's a place called, like, what is it, Ho-Hum or something? That's Camp Hero. Camp Hero is in that area. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Fascinating. Used to be surfers' cottages, now yuppie. Yeah. The Lighthouse Beach and State Park. No, not really much out there. Yeah, I remember the White House. I mean, not the White House, the Lighthouse out there. I thought he wasn't visiting because one of the reporters said they seemed like fresh drops. Yeah, and the two reporters that had been there, I remember there was a reporter who said that, and I thought irresponsible as fuck because, well, there was a ton of things that had happened in between when we did find out who the people were, which I believe was exactly a month after they found them. So they didn't name them right away. I believed it was exactly a month after when the first 3 or 4 were named. Some of them had been missing for quite a while. And I remember thinking of that reporter and being like, shouldn't have put her fucking 2 cents in on that. But there were 2 other reporters, and they are actually in that over hour-long ABC Lisk special from a year ago, who were there at the very fucking beginning. And they talked about how cold it was and how they found the one body and they thought that that would be it. And then they found a second and they were like, wow. And then the one reporter had a choice. You know, he was told, you can report on this and miss out on this other big story, or you can do this and bank on it and hope that you're right. And he had this feeling that it was a serial killer. And he was like, I'm going to go out there. And then him and the lady went out there and they met up, and they were from, I believe, opposing stations. And they were both like, I just got this weird feeling. And then all of this started happening and unfolding. And they talked about how there was this weird feeling early on that, like, it's so fucking frigid and cold and isolated out there that there's just no fucking way you would miss someone if you were driving that way. There's just no way at night that you wouldn't see another car. And if you did see another car and it was pulled over, that would be very weird. Like, she couldn't stress enough how fucking weird that would be. And so when I'm looking at your email and I'm thinking back to it, yeah, that, I mean, I can see why it would stay on your mind, but also it was okay, so this makes sense because she had said that it got really fucking cold and frigid really quick. She talked about how cold it'd been and how shitty the day was when they found the bodies, right? And the day before, it had been like they thought that it was going into springtime. So this all does add up. Now, here's the thing that I'm wondering. It also makes sense why you wouldn't call it in, because think about it. They didn't know about it being Rex until what? A year ago, right? Well, over a year now. A little over a year ago. So if you think about that, there's no way you would have ever called it in. Like, this whole time, there's no reason to call it in because you didn't. You just thought it was a cop, right? So there's no way that you would have known that that big 10-foot guy with the vehicle could have been Rex, because we didn't know what the Long Island serial killer looked like. No one knew that. So now I'm wondering, now that you know what he looks like and you've seen him, if I can get you a direct line to the task force, would you be willing to maybe call it into them anonymously? Because I do think it's very important. And one thing that I can say that you definitely hit on that's very important is you said sometimes, cops lie. and they're doing it to protect an investigation, and sometimes they're doing it because they're the Commonwealth and they're in Massachusetts. But here's what's interesting. They could know that he had another car that he was using, or maybe he rented a car. They could know shit that they're not telling us because they've been up his ass so hard. So what say you if they perhaps know that he had another vehicle and nobody else knows that but them? Like the media doesn't, nobody knows that, only they know that. And what if you call and they go, oh shit, we've been waiting for someone to call who spotted him in this other vehicle that nobody knows about? It could be helpful. I knew it wasn't the doctor I saw and seemed like the doctor was the biggest suspect. So you're talking about Peter Hackett. So Peter Hackett was a guy, for those of you who don't know, there were two people who saw, so he wasn't a suspect in Lisk. He was a suspect or a person of interest with Shannon's case. Because when Shannon ran away from her last client and Michael Pack, her driver, showed up, and you can hear it in the phone call, which we're going to go through in the episode when we do the all Lisk from beginning to end timeline. When Michael Pack showed up and he's like, come on, Shannon, come on. You know what I mean? Let's go. Why are you talking like that? Why are you doing that? When that was happening, she takes off running into the reeds and stuff. Michael's following her with his truck. We no longer hear the guy at the house on Oak Beach. He's like, I'm going to go upstairs. You guys figure this the fuck out and get out of my house. Michael Pack is trying to lure her out of the house. And that's when she says, they're going to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Then you hear her running, and it all lines up with what Gus Coletti said. Gus Coletti was the elderly neighbor. Him and his wife were home at the time. And she runs up and bangs on the door. And he's like, he calls the police. You can hear everything in the background. And he's like, there's a woman. She says people are chasing her and she's right. But there's nobody. There was the guy in the truck, but he's like, I don't know what's going on right now. Like she just banged on the door and now she's taking off again. Fuck. So then where does she go? She then runs to the next neighbor, and that's Peter Hackett. Now, Peter Hackett is a guy. He's got some sort of facial situation, some skin condition. Okay. And I bring that up because a lot of people, when they see him, they're like, he's creepy. It's like, he's got a fucking skin problem. Okay. But he is creepy. He's fucking weird. In my opinion, he is fucking weird. If you don't know about, in fact, we're going to stop this right now. I'm going to show you the difference between a good neighbor and a bad neighbor. And I don't care if it elongates or prolongs this episode, because quite frankly, I think it's important. So there have been people in the past who accused Gus Coletti. By the way, his wife was fucking there. Okay. So enough of that. Peter Hackett, though, claimed lots of different things in different interviews. One thing's for sure. He called Shannon's mom a few days later to tell her that he saw her daughter. He also has claimed on different occasions to have potentially given her a sedative. So what's interesting to me is there are people like John Ray and others who are suing or sued Peter Hackett. They made a big deal out of it. Peter Hackett's the guy. He's the guy because on camera, he faked a heart attack to get out, or tried to fake a stroke to get out of an interview. He inserted himself. People who know him say he's the type of dude to fucking insert himself because he's a weirdo. Does he have a wife? Yes, he has a wife. They live in that house. Yes, at the time. He did. I don't know why he said that, Amber. I don't know why. Because then he went on to deny it. And it's probably because he's a doctor and he would have lost his fucking license. And at the time, he worked with the police. He was a doctor for the police force at one time. He was a private practice doctor. He's had a couple of different positions around town that made people think he's untouchable. So interesting to me that people who would go on to later blame him and then use Dr. Baden's autopsy report, which is the second autopsy on Shannon, to claim that he's the one who likely did it. This is before Rex came along. Also used the same report that's on the toxicology, said there was nothing in her system. So in order to believe that Peter Hackett did it, you have to believe that the same autopsy report that Ray and people want you to believe is nefarious or true. You also have to believe that she was given a toxic substance that didn't show up in the toxicology report. Now, if I were arguing for that, I would say, well, yeah, it had been like a year since she was found. But at the same time, how good is forensic science? This is the same report where they want you to believe that her hyoid bone was broken and or missing, which that was the whole thing. Was it broken? Was it missing? How was that possible? And this is also, yeah, that's the Dr. Baden's report, Amber. That's the independent one. At the time, he was representing the family. He sued Peter Hackett, who went on to move to Florida. It was a whole thing. Then, after accusing Peter Hackett, Jimmy Burke, who by all accounts, both of them, in my opinion, total fucking assholes. Total fucking pricks. I would have believed it if they ended up being it. But here's the deal. When Rex gets indicted, all of a sudden, Rex is now the guy who killed Shannon. I mean, John sued Peter Hackett. So which is it? That's what irritates me. In addition to him trying to put blame on the young daughter who was a child at the time, who was not in town, and disregarding the evidence. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. But let's look at, I'm going to show you guys Gus Coletti. This is the guy who called the police when he first saw Shannon running down the road. And let me see. Hold on. And his wife was there. Let's see. It's the ex-assistant of Gilgo Beach serial killer speaking out against him. Oh, shit. This is the same one that tried to shoot. Maybe I'll have to find this later because I don't want it to stop midstream again. But let's look at Peter Hackett faking a heart attack. I think I've showed this before. So this is so ridiculous. So this is what Peter Hackett did after Shannon Gilbert's mother said, hey, this fucking weirdo called my house and was saying all this stuff. This fucking weirdo called my house and said he gave my daughter pills. What the fuck? So when Marie Gilbert said that, the news was on it. They were like, let's go find out from this fucking doctor what he did. And this is what Peter Hackett had to say. I still can't believe this. This is so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Here, check this out. He is a doctor. He has a medical license, or he had a medical license at the time. Not sure of the status of that, but he did work with the Suffolk County Police. And yes, Mary is now passed away because the other daughter, who had schizophrenia, was going through a rough time, did murder her. And it is very, very sad and unfortunate. And it was a tragic, tragic situation. So now there is one sister left to fight this fight. And despite what you might see in court documents that say he is fighting on behalf of the estate of Shannon Gilbert, I do believe that sister does not have him as representation necessarily. And I do believe there are, in fact, I mean, it's not that I believe it's true. Other clients have come out to say, this is not my fucking lawyer. He does not speak for me. Of the families that are suffering through this. And that is one of the issues I had with that presser where he also accused Victoria Heuermann. Now, at the beginning, they wouldn't have found these bodies objectively if it weren't for the search for Shannon and the pressure from John Ray, and for that I am grateful. But sometimes people can get a bit caught up, if you will, and forget their sense of reality, apparently. And just because someone's right once doesn't mean they're always right. This is a very confusing issue, though, because Hackett was sus as fuck. And part of me still wonders, in my opinion, if he actually did have something to do with Shannon. And now here, this is what I call John Bay. All right. This is when John Ray was John Bay. This is when he was, 100%. Everything he's saying is absolutely true. It is absolutely true. The lawsuit, he did sue the shit out of him, and there was discovery in court. And thus far, even the task force has yet to name him as a suspect. I agree with John Ray's skepticism on this. I really do. And I still think that they should go back and relook at him, but I think that they have. Especially because they have made it clear that they have taken another look at Shannon's case. Now, what came of that, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But I will say, what you're about to see is quite insane, and I do not at all blame John Ray or anybody for thinking this is weird enough to put some spec on it and sue the man. Because even if he did, and I'm talking about Hackett, even if he did like to insert himself into investigations, bad boy, bad. Spray him with water. Don't do that, you fucking tool. In my opinion, that is as bad as tampering with evidence. Why are you doing that? Why are you inserting yourself and lying? You are disrupting a murder investigation. Like, why are you fucking doing that? If it is a murder, why are you insinuating that you were a part of this and then lying? That is weird. And I think that Peter Hackett should have at least been possibly charged for that or had a license stripped away. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it still pisses me off. No, did it cut me off again? God damn it. Can you see me again? Can you see me again? Stick video or I'll do it again. Or can you guys see me? Fucking damn it. Of course. Of course I would get copyright. A copyright right in the middle of the fucking craziest video ever. That's great. Can you guys see me? Let me know. Damn it. Let's see. Damn it. Oh no. Oh my God. Let's see if I pop back up. Let's see if I pop back up. Let's see how long it takes. Let's see how long it takes for me to come back up. Let's see. Can you fucking hear me? Am I back? Let's see what happens. I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Jesus. Those finicky bitches. Fucking Crime Watch daily or weekly. Chris Hansen doesn't care about justice. He's kicking my ass off for showing that fucking fraud faking a heart attack. How dare you, Chris? Well, anyway, you saw the beginning of it. Yeah, that guy faked a heart attack. So, yeah, I still have questions about him. Okay? I still have questions about him. Listen, they can stop me temporarily, but they can't stop me forever. You understand? Damn it. Well, back to the point. That's good Lord's way of telling me I got to get back to the fucking point. Suspended for policy violations. Yep. That's me. That's the title of my new book. It's not BRBLOL. Also, I saw one of our old school OG kids in here making a great dad abandoning me joke. Where are you, Kate? There she is. There she is, Kama. Dude. You guys kill me sometimes. You're so funny. I got Troopa pulled. Real quick. Okay, well, that's just a sign to get back to the point. But I do have questions. I do have questions about this man. He's in Florida now. He fled to Florida. We'll see what happens there. Okay, well, the good news is I've already pre-tested these other videos, so I know that they're good. I know that we're not going to get kicked off for these, okay? But I want to talk about, first, let's bring up the docs. Let's bring up the DOS and docs, okay? We're going to go over the full bail application when we go over the full timeline. By the way, I think you can see my only white hair. I think you can see it, my ponytail right there. Oh my God, there it is. There it is. Do you see it? That's the suspect. That's the suspect at the scene of the crime. There you are. There you are, old age. Hello. Nice to see you. White hair. I see you out there being all lily white. Look at that. My Irish hair. I've got one lily white Irish hair on my head. No, I'm not Irish. Okay. So we're going to go over. Oh, good morning, Hugin. We're going to go over the bail docs later. Okay. The green Chevy Avalanche search warrant, the superseding indictments, all of these things. But when we go over that, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be split. Where is Rhoda Live? This is a great question, Satan. What if I walk into YouTube right now and I go, attention, everyone, I am Oblivious Benson. I just want you to know that these motherfuckers fucked on me. They won't put respect on my name. And they keep kicking me off of the internet. I'm bragging again about my white hair. I apologize. I apologize. You know how I do. I would like to see your chin hairs. Every hair on your chinny chin chin, you're going to show us? I appreciate. Yes, we do have to get Hudson a prison wife. Don't hold out for Karen. We're trying to make that not happen, Hudson. So I see you out there. Do we need a Titanic pig? We'll do a buffer before we get into the paperwork because we're about to do 30 fucking pages. We're not going to read it all, but I'm going to explain it to you. And I'm glad that we waited because I was going through it and I was just so confused. I was like, why are my notes different? And I process things. It takes me some time. I have to do 2 or 3 reads and I like to look into everything. I'm that annoying person when I read court paperwork, right? Every time it cites a case. And to back up this thought, we cite blah, blah versus blah, blah. I'm the one who goes, well, what does that say? And then I open that up. And then I read it all. And then in that case, it'll say, well, and of course, we uphold this motion because of blah, blah versus blah, blah. And I'll go, well, what does that say? And before you know it, I'm reading 40 other cases that have nothing to do with the original case. And so I have to be very careful with myself. Otherwise, I'm going to be reading a bunch of cases all day, and I'm never going to finish the original one. So I like to do it 3 times minimum. So went through, read this a lot. Then I started doing the thing where let's see what that means. Let's see what that means. And then I realized I don't know that much about whole genome sequencing. I need to learn because that's what this one's talking about. And that's the one before the one we're going to read. And that one was a nightmare because I know quite a bit about forensic genealogy, but not nearly as much as someone who perhaps, I don't know, went to fucking school for it. I'm no expert. And whole genome sequencing, very dramatic. Very dramatic. It is the RuPaul of genome sequencing. I can't imagine how difficult it is to be able to comprehend something as intricate as what the machines are doing now. And it's fascinating because in a way, I think I figured out how to break it down so that it makes sense. But in a way, when I started reading about whole genome sequencing, all I could think about is, again, this is like I Heart Huckabee. I bring it up all the time. But it's because in I Heart Huckabee, they talk about how you can see particles. You know what I mean? We've talked about DMT before and how like you can see sound and you can see particles. I do think that whole genome sequencing, the best way to get a visual of it is, again, I Heart Huckabee. Whenever you're looking at an object and it breaks down all the different particles, right? But imagine that object is blood. You're looking at a person's gene. You're looking at their DNA strand, right? And it seems like all they really do is, instead of taking it as a whole and looking at the little patterns, they break it. It's like a big Lego display, right? And if you want to know how many Legos are in this display, you can look at it and you can count the different square blocks and how many Legos are on this side and multiply it by this so that you can get how many Legos you think are in this little block, right? It's kind of like a guessing game, even though you are trying to use math. It's one of those rare circumstances where using math does not give you the correct answer always because the shapes are different. So imagine, instead of looking at a Lego castle and having to do tiny bits of math on every little square part, if you just smashed it on the ground and then individually counted each Lego. That is what whole genome sequencing is. It is taking this strand of DNA, smashing it, and then looking at each individual part and comparing it to another and saying, hey, do you use this Lego? This one does. Do you use this Lego? This one does. This one has a yellow this, and this one is a tiny yellow one, but it's still yellow, but it's not the one we thought it was. So basically what you're doing is you are taking it part by part, baby steps, bit by bit with this DNA. And you're comparing it to another exact DNA profile that is, it's in the exact same form. It is broken up, it is split up, and everything's put in piles. And now you can go, oh, this one has 10 tiny yellow one knob Legos, and this one has 20. So this one could be a part of it, but it's not an exact replica. So what does that mean? Well, that means this person is a descendant of this person. In fact, it's only got half the Legos that this one has, which tells you that it is a sister, a daughter, a best friend. You know what I mean? Or not a best friend, but a sister, a daughter, a granddaughter. Simultaneously, even though it is more intricate, it is the pioneering example of what DNA can do. And Parabon Labs, they're able to take that and then they reconstruct it to show you what the person looks like. And it's amazing. So if I had to compare whole genome sequencing to what we already do with DNA, and I say we like I'm on the fucking sports team. No, I'm not. But imagine if instead of looking at a strand and analyzing it and comparing it to another strand that's all put together and having to figure out, like, was it this long Lego that goes on this strand or this short one? It's all broken up so you can see perfectly. No, not eugenics. Okay, enough with the Hitler. Hippie Hitler. No, not necessarily for the purpose of eugenics. In fact, not at all. What we're talking about is we're talking about comparing. So you're just comparing strands, right? And in genetic genealogy, you can figure out, hey, is this person related to this person because they're a granddaughter or a great granddaughter? And you can kind of see those levels of, like, how far away are we from the suspect? And with this specific form of tracing and taking apart the data that we get from the genetic genealogy, we can break it down to everything. Like, you can see, this person, eye color matches, stuff like that, but it really depends on the gene. What they're really looking for is they're looking to see how close is the spit on this pizza crust to the hair on this body. Well, we know that the hair on this body is somebody that has half of the fucking markers of this person, which would make them, or however much, which would make them a direct descendant this way. And they did that, and they did that, and they kept going until they got to a relative of Rex. And then they said, okay, who's the male? Who's the father? Because whoever this person is, whose hair is on this body, the person right above them with the genes that would make them their dad, that's the person who we want to see. Because this person couldn't have been of age at the time. But there's something here that tells us it is a parent. And when they compare that, they go, got him. And this is what happened with Brian Koberger. This is what happened with April Tinsley's killer. This is what they were able to use to whittle down and find Joseph James D'Angelo. Now, in this case, what we're seeing is a complex genetic profile that has been broken down, split into tiny parts, so that without a doubt, we can say it belongs to this person. And we're not just going to show you the whole strand and guess that this is where this is at. No, we're going to show you exactly how it got put together. We are going to get in this, dissect it, and show you every fucking particle and how we know. And it makes it no longer like 1 in a million chance that this is a person, it couldn't be this person. You know what I mean? Like, they are whittling it down to, it is 1 in a million to the 10th power. As in, there's no one else on earth it could possibly be. We are sure by X amount, by an amount, we are so fucking sure it's over 100%. It's over 100% times 20th power. The odds and the ratios, yes, Tish, they are so fucking high that this is your guy, that there aren't even that many people on earth right now. When I say without a doubt, this is the closest we are getting, we as a human race, to dead ass genetic genealogy, genetic sequencing that there's no doubt in our mind. Now, the question would be, how do you know that that hair belonged to the killer? Well, if it's on the fucking tape used to tape up the body, or the burlap used to wrap the body, and this person says they've never met this girl, i.e. being Rex, saying, I've never met this girl. Well, now we know you're fucking lying. So with that said, it is interesting, but also expected that this is a motion that would be brought to the court to say, we need to exclude this. Well, why? If it's so good, if it's so helpful, why exclude it? That makes no sense. Well, first of all, we have to explain it to a jury. And we doubt it. Well, why do you doubt it, defense? Well, because it's never been used in a court of law before. What? That's not true. Well, in New York, it hasn't. Oh, okay. Well, then I would propose that just because something is new and innovative and pretty much the next step in the advancement of this specific form of forensics and science doesn't make it invalid. I mean, could you remember the OJ trial? First time that DNA in that manner was brought forth before a court. That's what people like to say to scare people out of using it. In the OJ trial, they said, what is this? What is this DNA you speak of? This specific type of searching? How do we know that this DNA is tied to this glove, to this guy, to this crime scene? How did they test it? How did they find out it was OJ's? Prove it. It came down to Darden and the defense needing to use a glove. A glove that had been covered in blood, which will cause the material to shrink, and then had him put it on his arthritic hands, which were swollen, in which he spread out like this, which is not how you fucking put gloves on. That's what they had to rely on, because the new DNA science, the new way we deal with DNA, it was too freaky deaky. It was too new for everyone. Now, what if I told you that procedure in that very presentation of DNA that was used and the very technology and forensics used in the OJ trial are now common? The way that they did that, now common. In fact, it's the norm. It's like, if, in fact, I would go as far as to say, a lot of people go, oh, prove it. Oh, you have DNA? Okay, it's proven. If anything, now it's the opposite. Now, if you don't have that DNA, you're kind of a fucking loser and you ain't got a case. Now they rely on it predominantly in cases to show it as physical evidence. Yeah, if it doesn't fit, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Never mind that the DNA fits. It's the glove. So if you think about it, what America once shunned from being an acceptable form of evidence in one of the most high-profile murder cases of our generation is now the accepted norm, and you actually lose it if you don't have it. So when they say, hey, whole genome sequencing, silly goose, that's not reliable. I say, that's assault. In 10 years, they're going to be saying, if you don't have this done in your case, you're a fucking loser and you ain't got shit. Here's a little chart that is from researchgate.net, which came from a website called Novogene. It was one of the websites that I used to look into this myself because I was trying to figure it out. And this is how they break it down. Give me 1 second. Let me cleanse my palate. So as you can see, you've got this cloned DNA. So you take the DNA, and really to me, I had to break it down in my head looking at it like sound. If you've ever worked with sound or video, you just copy it. You make a copy. Think of copy paste, and now you have two. So you have the picture, and then you copy paste. Now you have another picture open. Copy paste. Now you have another picture open. So now you have three of the same picture all open on one screen. In the second picture, you cut it in half and then you cut it in half again. So now it's in fourths and you go, now I have one picture in 4 parts. And then the next one, you break down even more, which would be right here in the middle. Now I have a bunch of parts. So now you have multiple versions of the same thing. One's broken up into 4, one's broken up into 1,000, and this is the OG. When you're working with sound or video, you can make copies and then you can edit the copy. Well, this is what it looks like when it's bright pink. Well, this is what it's like when it's run through this filter. Well, this is what it's like when I break it up and I rearrange it. And now the nose is on the head. Or now this part of the video is over here. Well, why would someone do that? Well, because we have another video that we think is pulled from this original video. But we're trying to figure out why it's in the wrong order. Is it the same video, just broken up in the wrong order, or is it something totally different? If you break it up and you rearrange it, you can replicate the original video. You're going, it is the same. It's just a little different. It is a derivative of that video, i.e. the video being Rex and the daughter or, son or cousin or uncle having DNA that is derived from him or vice versa. So now we can go, wow, okay. So this person has parts of this original picture, but it's not the same picture, but there are parts of it. It's more of a collage. That means that this DNA sequence must have combined with another to create this person. Well, the hair in no way matches this one, so it must be the other. Who's that? The dad. Now, it's very difficult to explain in sciencey terms, but I hope that makes sense. There's a couple of other things in that argument that they made. One of them is they want to have a fry hearing. Now, what is a fry hearing? Is it a hearing to find out, are you getting delicious French fries? No. It's a court proceeding that determines if the scientific evidence, aka the DNA, is generally accepted by the scientific community. The hearing is used to decide if expert testimony is admissible in court, i.e., this scientist is up here, or this, let's say therapist, this therapist is up here, and they're telling us, right now, they have the balls to tell us that multiple personality disorder is real. And they're using it to explain blah, 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 blah to you, to get you to believe blah, blah, blah. Now, let's say the scientific community had never heard of multiple personality disorder before, which this has actually happened in history. And they said, well, that's not true. It's actually, that is kind of far-fetched. But we do believe in dissociative identity disorder, which is what this sounds like, but that's a little more extreme. So what happens? The experts get to go up there and they get to argue. Now, here's the problem. You might run into a situation where it's something brand new that isn't accepted by the scientific community. What do you do then? Well, in those cases, it can be left out. Let me give you an example of when it was. Or when it was not considered, if you will. That would be, hold on, let me pull this down. That would be Casey Anthony's case. Do you remember when Casey Anthony, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Dr. Garavaglia, she was an expert that was used in the Casey Anthony case against Casey for the state. Because they were trying to figure out if little Kaylee had been put there purposefully, if she had been in the trunk, and they had to walk everyone through that. Well, how do we figure out if she was still alive when put in the trunk? How do we figure out if there was a dead body in the trunk? Well, Dr. G said we can get vapors, maybe, And another doctor who was called as an expert said, I'm working on this new thing where we trap air, like we were talking about trapping a fart, right? Take some of the air, put it in a can, test it. Let's see what particles are in the air. Since it was a closed, confined space in that trunk, that's kind of what they did. They tried to suck some of the air out and go, was there a corpse in here? Were there particles in the air that suggest that there was something dead? Now, Dr. G wanted to focus on the tape. She said there was tape around the kid's mouth. End of story. Agree completely. But she's an ME. She's got to be careful on what she says. So in interviews with her since, she has made it very clear that that's where she was done. She was like, no, you can't tell. Why would you put fucking tape on a baby's mouth? Fuck you. Agree completely, hun. There was another guy, and he said, hey, I'm going to catch the vapor, and I'm going to put it through a system where we can test the air particles. Kind of like how you can test the air for, pollution. He thought of this innovative new method where just like we test the air for pollution, you can test the air for corpse particles. Now, when he brought this idea up in court, everyone went, oh, come the fuck on. How do we know the air came from there? Lots of different questions. This is silly. We've never seen anything like this before, which is true. There wasn't a lot on that forensically, but now, this is the thing. Just like with the bugs, I told you guys how bodies, they can be dead for a while, where they can be newly dead. And regardless, if you test the bugs that are crawling on the body, you can sometimes get toxicology results. This is a very big thing in forensics. It's a bug juice, essentially. You do a gray hues. Because whatever they ate on the body came from the body. And if the body is decomposed, but there are still flies on it, there is a chance that maybe you can grind the flies up, test what the flies ate, and if there's fentanyl in the flies, then you know that this body probably ingested fentanyl. There was a case out of South Texas where they were questioning the use of sinus spray, nose spray. Did this little girl accidentally die from being poisoned by nose spray? Or did she die because she suffocated or was murdered? Well, how do we know? How do we know? Let's test the bugs that were found eating the body or partying on it, whatever they do. Some of the bugs that were on the body were tested, and they were able to actually find out that there was some nose spray ingested, but not enough. Possibly not enough to kill someone. Even if you multiplied it by 100 times the amount, still not enough. So they can exclude that now. These are the type of things that people have to get up on the stand and explain. It has to be careful. Now, I'm not a fucking perfect expert at this shit. I'm not even an expert at this shit when it comes to genetic genome or whole genome sequencing. But as I learn about it, I go, wow, this is going to be kind of a tall order to explain. But some of the things that I read from Novo, the company that is touting it, which by the way, for $1,000, you can get whole genome sequencing done for yourself. Let me show you some of the things that they can do on this website. It's fascinating. Here, check this out. And in case you want to know, when they do the Fry hearing, that's what they're going to have to argue. They're going to have to argue whether or not this is accepted in the scientific community. Well, if it's not, why are there a million websites offering it? I mean, that's simply what I would say. Well, then why are all these labs that are, by the way, you can also look up, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can look up labs in court cases and then run them against Judy records or really just any court records that you can find, Pacer, Justia. Take the lab's name, put it in quotation marks, and pop it through a search engine for each of these individual sites for the companies. Search the company, see if they have been involved in court cases. If so, if they have been experts in countless court cases, and all of them are offering this technology through their website, then I would say that is scientifically acceptable. Just because it hasn't been used in New York, hun, doesn't mean it can't be used in New York now, especially when everyone else is doing it. If everybody else is using this one scientific resource and you are not, maybe you're actually a bit behind and you should get with the fucking program. Here's what they do there. Let's take a look at this. This is very interesting. Okay, so whole genome sequencing provides a deep insight into the DNA sequence of humans, animals, plants, and microbial genomes, which, by the way, plants have DNA. It's one of my favorite moments is talking about that on the stream. That was so fun. With data analysis at the individual or population level, as in you can compare it to the world or just between two people. SMP, Indel, CNV, SV, and other variants of the genome can be fully analyzed. Our sequencing analysis enables the identification of somatic, and I keep saying gremlin, and I know that's not the word, but I think it's funny, so I'm just going to call it, I know it's germline, but I'm going to say gremlin mutations, as well as customized patterns of cancers or other diseases. Now, would you believe if I told you, because it's absolutely true, that part of this sequencing happens every day in your 23andMe exams? If you ever did a 23andMe kit, an Ancestry kit, you've already done this. You've already done this. You don't need a Fry hearing because everyone, not only has the scientific community accepted this, millions of people accepted it to a point where they purchased a kit to find out, what about me? What about my genomes? This technology is already widely used. It's cost effective. It is constantly growing a database that is connecting people all over the world with their history and their ancestry. So to question whether or not this is a valid science is fucking insane to me. But for the sake of suppressing the whiny people, aka the defense, who's being big bitches and babies right now in the Rex Heuermann case, in an effort to be fair, the judge said, okay, fine. How about this? How about you guys want all the data in the process that was done on the pizza crust to determine it was Rex? Fine. Prosecution, you have 2 weeks. Get them all that data. Oh, you got that. Get them all that data. Okay. And then they can look over it and then we'll do a Fry hearing because this is taking too fucking long. And I see what you guys are doing. You're trying to stall the case. The judge is smart. I liked him. I like Timothy. He's like, enough, bitches. We need to hurry. You have a right to a speedy trial. Trying to draw it out like you're goddamn Donald Trump, hoping they'll drop it. That's not the way we're fucking doing this shit, bitch. There you go. In a way, yeah. As it grows, it gets more accurate. Just like AI. Just like all knowledge. The more you know, that's the whole point. So with that said, there is no Satancestry. That is true. There is none. There is none. It'll never be complete. Think about it this way. This fascinates me. I remember, okay, so in one of my classes, I was talking with a woman who works in a lab that specifically handles DNA for crime cases, for criminal cases. And she works for the CSI here in Austin. And she told me that genetic genealogy and DNA is the one science that will never be complete. And I said, why? And she said, because every day people are born. The only way it'll stop is if people stop existing. If we stop having babies. And even then, it can keep going and going and going until we've done it all. So it's the only science that's constantly expanding and growing. Because DNA isn't everything. One could argue that it's AI, but without people, you know what I mean? plugging shit in, creating data, you got nothing. So it's regurgitating data that's already created. This is new data because it's a new human being born. Fascinating shit. Weird to think about. Anyway, that Fry hearing is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a big nothing burger. Everything's getting denied so far for the defense because they are asking for ridiculous shit. They want every single piece of data. Well, luckily the prosecutor, DA Ray Tierney specifically, is like, fine, you can have whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. This guy fucking did it. We're so sure you could have it all. You could have my pants. I don't care. And I love that attitude. Nothing to hide. Sure, take it. Whatever you want, hun. Fascinating to me. Okay. Now, let's take a look at, hold on one second. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? We are going to watch this. This is basically what they're trying to say about the specific DNA stuff. And then we're going to move on. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can get this back up again. Hopefully they won't murk us again. But that's what that hearing was about the other day. Is we're going to have a Fry hearing. And now that we're done with that memo, let's move on to the next. And then what was the next one? Well, the next hearing, hold on one second, because this is all pre-trial, you know what I mean? The next hearing is whether or not they want to split it up into trials. And we did talk about that for a little bit. I couldn't figure out why. I wanted to learn more about that before I presented it again. So I did. And there's a lot of reasons why. And it tripped me out. Let's wrap up this with a nice little bow, and then we'll talk about that, okay? All right, let's do that. Here we go.
Latest developments in the Gilgo Beach murder case. Suspect Rex Heuermann back in court for another pretrial hearing. Carolyn Gussoff is live in Riverhead for us this morning. Carolyn?
Chris, good afternoon. Rex Heuermann wore that same blank, unreadable expression on his face that he has had since the very beginning of this case, while the judge allowed another 2 weeks for the defense to receive more DNA evidence. And this judge appears to be losing patience, wanting to move this case along after a year and a half. One of the lagging issues in the case is whether there will be one trial or 5 in the murders of 7 women. The defense contends there should be separate trials because it influences the jury when so many allegations are lumped together.
Pause this right here. Why? I want to talk about it. So I looked into that. I said, it's kind of weird. You know, statistically speaking, why would that mean anything? I think the obvious is when you have 5 people accusing you at once, or you're accused of 5 murders at once, it looks much worse than one at a time, right? I started looking into it. How has this affected other court cases? I found so many, we would be here all day if I pulled them all up, but I'm telling you, it does. To play Hudson's advocate here, the defense believes something that there is data behind. There is data behind it. There are statistics to show that a jury is more likely to be swayed if you've got someone who committed 5 murders with a DNA connection between 5 or even 4. They're more likely to convict across the board when they're all combined than 1. Because then if you have 1, they get to argue and say, his lawyers get to argue and say, well, since we're only here for this specific victim, we shouldn't be allowed to talk about the other cases. And should the judge agree, you run the risk of, even though this man has DNA on 4 other bodies, not being allowed to bring it into one trial could get him off on that specific one. Simultaneously, if you need to rely on the DNA evidence matching along with another circumstance that's not DNA matching to one body, This becomes a problem when you separate the trials. So with that said, the prosecution has really great reason, and I think fair, to want to keep them combined. I couldn't figure out why on earth Rex would want to split them up. Well, then it also occurred to me, and as I researched it, I said, yes, it is true. It's going to cost a lot more money. Because now instead of having an expert there for one sit down, you have to have them there for every single trial. What does that do? That costs the county money. It costs the taxpayers money. What does that do? It makes them pissed off. Just like Karen Reed. How much is this fucking costing us? We really have to pay for this hearing too? This is ridiculous. It makes people angry. It's extremely prejudicial. You're right, Tiff. Absolutely. He should have to have different attorneys for each case then. Some people believe that. But this one attorney, think about it. If he is, so let's say his attorney was, what do you call it? A public defender. That's way different from a private guy you hire yourself, right? But if you hire a private guy, can you still request help from public defenders? Like Whitey did with Hank? And then you milk everybody that way? So in a way, there's a little bit on both sides that it totally makes sense why they would both make the arguments they're making. But if we're looking at fairness to the victims, I would say prosecutors absolutely correct. If we're looking at fairness to the defense, I don't think that it's fair to deceive people by making them think that this is the only victim. And if anything, it is favorable to the defense, but not fair to the prosecution. Whereas if we're looking at it from the prosecution side, it's kind of favorable to both, right? Because if they can find one kink in any of those 5 accusations or charges that perhaps takes something out of the equation evidence-wise that does connect those bodies, then the whole case would fall apart for the prosecution. So in a way, it might be beneficial to the defense to go with one trial. They just don't seem to be looking at it that way. Let's keep going. And this is what the 30 pages is all about, is this report right here. And I was like, how can I get out of reading all 30 of these boring ass fucking pages? Because there really isn't a lot of substance in them. It's just a lot of sightings of the past. Because there are ample cases. There are so many fucking cases that back up what the prosecution is trying to do. There's also a good amount that back up what the defense is trying to do, especially statistically speaking, as far as it being prejudiced to the case. So it was very interesting. And as I read through them, oh man, there were some funny named cases. Oh my God. They were pretty hilarious. Some of the cases cited have very funny names. One of them, I'll try to find it in a little bit. It was something weird. It made me laugh pretty hard. But back to this. Let's continue.
They now have 2 weeks to respond to the prosecution, which says it's a serial killer case. They all belong in one trial. Then the second major issue still lagging is DNA. Hair fibers found on the victims were matched to Heuermann through science called nuclear DNA, which has never before been used in a court of law in New York State.
This is novel.
And the nuclear DNA, by the way, is part of the whole genome sequencing. Just an FYI.
Information, they call it science. We're disputing that. I mean, it's prevented people from dying from disease. It's detected diseases. It's used in amniocentesis. It's identified war dead.
Amniocentesis, I found out, is a pregnant thing. When you go into the belly, right? I knew I'd heard that word before. And I was like, that's assault.
It's identified remains of 9/11 people. This science has been around for many, many years. And if the defense wants to call it magic, that's fine. The defense could call it whatever it likes. But we will determine that at the hearing. We look forward to that hearing. And I can tell you, this is sound science.
The judge ordered everyone back in this courtroom on March 12th to set a Fry hearing date. That is a hearing to determine the admissibility of that DNA evidence. Heuermann, meanwhile, has always contended he...
Oh, shit. Mia, good night. You're going to sleep? Good night. Look, everyone, it's Uncle Francis. It's Uncle Francis. Uncle Francis, how are you doing, hon? How are you doing? And we love you. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about French fries. Yeah, they stick a big needle in your Utie. Damn. Whew. Yeah. That's what he was quoting the fucking defense who called it magic. Called it magic beans or something. Magic, I believe. Yeah. Just like they're like magnets. How do these fucking work? They start talking like juggalos. Connecting the women to each other could be harder, but easier if something individual about each woman is related to Rex, like his belt. It's only involved with one woman, but related to Rex. This is true. However, here is how they could connect it, because I was also looking into this quite a bit at the beginning and trying to figure it out myself. Like, how are they going to do that? And they actually have quite a few different ways that they can do that, and that they have done it. One in particular is his little set of notes, his notes that he had on how and what he was going to do, where, when, and why. Simultaneously, the digital data is going to back this up undoubtedly. In fact, when we do go through the timeline and we read the superseding bail docs, my God, I mean, they can connect every fucking movement. It doesn't help that he was texting the women right before they died from a phone, a flip phone for each of them. He had multiple ones, but he would go get these flip phones filled up, and they caught him on camera buying minutes for these fucking phones, refilling these fucking phones, purchasing data, and then using those exact phones to call from the location of his fucking office and in and around his home to call these women and then to contact them and solicit them. And he's the last person that solicited them before they died. So that pattern, the digital trail that can without a doubt be connected to him by him going and buying minutes and time for these phones and then using those phones to contact the women, and then those phones being recovered from his house and him being the last person to contact with them, set up a date with them. And then you have the digital data and history on his computer, in addition to the Google searches he made, which are fucking nasty. I mean, I'd say we got a pretty fucking solid case. If you can digitally connect all 5 to him, or I'm sorry, all 7 to him, but 3 or 4 of them you can connect with genetic genealogy or with DNA, then I would say the combination of those two, both circumstantial and physical, makes it a sealed deal as far as I'm concerned. Purchasing data with his Amex card, nonetheless. Tiff, we have him on camera doing it. Whew. It's a lot. It's a lot. Do the base for me, so then they'll just add the rest. Uncle Francis, welcome back. How are you doing, honey? How are you doing? You've been here the whole time? Uncle Francis is sneaking and creeping in the back. I feel like I've been probed and DNA sequenced thanks to this live. Good. You have. You've all been probed. Sorry, off topic, but are we going to do any more Stephen Stearns dives or anything? Man, there ain't nothing to do for that one. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. That one's been beaten into the ground by everyone. I mean, he had everything on the checklist you could imagine a perv to have. He has, he killed her, in my opinion. He's got, there's just so much against him. It'd be easier to do a deep dive on what he didn't do at this point. Fucking piece of shit. He's the worst. Nah, we're not going to do any more on him. I don't like once a case is going to court, you know what I mean? If I've read everything or watched everything or learned everything about it that I can and everybody's been informed, and there's a lot of YouTubers covering it, It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I mean, this info, I got nothing new to add, you know? I feel like with cases though, like Karen Reed's, it's so much to take in, and Rex's. So much to take in, and so many conspiracies abound in both of those cases that I feel like those I can maybe add something to. And also I desperately want to learn about, because the absurdity of some of it, there's just so much there. But also it's a question of, are these trials fair? How are they going forward? They're still active. Like, there's just so much there. Now with Steffens, I mean, this guy's going to prison for life. Like, the CSAM alone is insane. We have no doubt he did what he did to that girl. No doubt. And the evidence is so strong against him. The story's already been told. Just watching, like, even when Plunder went and got all of the, what do you call it? All of the CCTV from that alone, that tells you everything. Tells you absolutely everything. So there's nothing really new to add. I would just wait for the trial. I would like to just wait and see what happens in the trial. We've already talked about the judge on that. We did a deep dive into all of his online activity. So I don't think we're going to do anything on that. I just don't. I do know that Jay guilty of crime will. We need to get her back on, by the way. We got to do some more okie noodling. Yeah, and he was calling the victim's little sister and threatening her. Ugh. Disgusting. Disgusting. Genetic genealogy from pizza crust that he discarded outside of his office that they were able to connect to a hair. So they found hairs on, first of all, there was a belt that had a very specific, it had WH or MH printed on it, and it was found around one of the victims. And there were hairs found on the bodies in addition to the burlap and the rope. So they took that and they tested it, and they did genetic genealogy. They ran it against a public database. They got a hit. They whittled it down to a family member. And that's when they saw that Rex was the male of the house. The only one who fit the profile, would have been alive. Everything seemed to line up perfectly with him. So at that point, they got a warrant. They were able to pull pizza crust to compare, and it matched. And they said, that's assault. So then they started looking through his history. Hello, you two bad actors. And as they start looking through his history, they find a lot. They find that he is into bondage, BDSM stuff. Does not a criminal make, but he's also going on like swingers websites and going on backdoor, big dog or back pages, big doggy, Long Island escorts, the sex network forums. He's going on Craigslist. He's going on all these websites, and he is accessing profiles of the very women who went missing. Then when they searched his phone, they found, wow, this burner phone number that traces back to him and his house, and this phone number. That's interesting because that called this victim that night that she went missing. So when that happened, they went, wow, what does he drive? And this is a great point. He drives a truck. What kind of truck? Well, the exact truck that in case records from 2011 were reported by the roommate of a victim. I believe it was Amberlynn Costello's roommate. This is a guy who there was kind of a coup, ran on some Johns. One of them was a big towering motherfucker who then takes her out the next night, disappears. She disappears. He says, hey, that was the last guy. This is what the truck looked like. They had that tip years ago. One of the ones that me and a couple of other people tipped in was in the forums where Johns talk about their dates. They discussed this very coup. In fact, I can show it to you if you want to see it. It does have some racy stuff. Actually, let me edit that out. I got to edit out. There's nude pictures and things like that in the individual avatars. And I just like to edit some of because the banners on the side are really yikes. But yeah, they were able to trace it back to an original tip. DNA and hair that was found on the body, digital trace evidence, all sorts of different things. And when it all just kind of fit into place, like they didn't have to make the evidence fit the suspects. The evidence led them directly to this guy. They were able to go, wow, okay, well, this is interesting. Looks like everything falls into place. You compare it with that, with Amberlynn Costello's roommate's statement on the avalanche. And then when you look at Castilla's case, there was an even older tip from a guy who saw a truck parked outside of where the body was found. Was it Castilla or was it Taylor? I think it might have been Taylor. They saw a truck and it matched his truck at the time. So when you've got multiple sightings of this vehicle, when you've got hair that you can genetically trace to the person or a family member of that person, then you have planning documents after they did that warrant and seized all that digital evidence. Holy fuck. And then you consider the phones, the location, everything. It shockingly all points directly at Rex. So it was a combination of tips, forensic evidence, and digital evidence. And it all just kind of came together that way. The eyewitness for Amber Costello's date said that they pulled a trick. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let this play and I will pull that up. Let me pull that up for you because I want you to see not only that, but if you look at these same forums, which I'll show you later, I'm going to show you a little bit of it, but I'll show you all of it. When this happened with Costello, there was a campaign on the Johns forums to catch this woman and her friends who were running this coup on Johns because they were so pissed off because one of the Johns ran out naked. I guess they'd taken his clothes or something. And the neighbor saw him. And he describes his experience and says that he's going to go back and take a bat and kill her. And people are joking about how they're going to harm her or get rid of her, and she deserves it. So when the FBI saw that, obviously they did their due diligence because in those exact same forums a few months later, oh my God, the FBI came to my house and now my wife knows that I see hookers. That made me laugh. Like, fuck you, dudes. Why? Because of the threats that they made in those forums. So the cops did do their due diligence in following up on that, yet somehow ignored the tip of the vehicle of the guy who was last to see her. Shocking. Here we go. Let's finish this.
Is innocent, and his attorney said today that he looks forward to his day in court. And notably, he will not be seeking a change of venue, which had been discussed at the beginning of the case. The attorney says that he believes the people of Suffolk County know this case best and know the Suffolk County Police best. Reporting from Riverhead, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS News, New York.
Carolyn,
Chris?
thank you very much. Okay.
Now to an update on the Gilgo Beach murder case. The case is moving towards a trial, but two defense requests are slowing things down. The defense for suspect Rex Heuermann is asking for more time. They're challenging nuclear DNA testing that has never been used in a New York court of law. The judge allowed 2 more weeks to download a huge amount of data.
This is novel information. They call it science. We're disputing that. It's prevented people from dying from disease.
Yes, that was the same roommate. He called him an ogre. And what's weird is when you see him, it's like, this is a perfect description. This is a perfect fucking description because yes, he does look like an ogre.
Detected diseases. It's used in amniocentesis. It's identified war dead. This is sound science.
Another issue, whether there will be one trial or 5 trials in the murders of 7 women. Now, the defense wants separate trials, saying juries are swayed when allegations are put all together. But prosecutors say there is overlapping evidence. So what is this DNA testing at the center of their debate? Here to explain is Michael Marciano, Director of Research for the Forensic and National Security Sciences Institute at Syracuse University. Welcome.
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
So what is the DNA testing they're talking about, and how does this work?
That's a great question. So we typically focus on nuclear DNA in forensic science. This is nothing new. It's been done for decades and decades. What the difference here is, it's something we call whole genome sequencing. And actually, this can be a more sensitive type of.
Ooh, he's about to re-explain whole genome sequencing to you. I forgot this on here. I'm excited. Also, this says CBS. Are they about to fuck me? I think they're about to fuck on me. I'm actually very scared to use this one now because it is CBS. And they're the ones who did it last time. Remember, they interrupted Dade. Uh-oh. I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared to use this. I don't know if they're going to stop me. Yeah, turn it off. That's what you think? Okay, we'll move on. We'll go to the next one. So this, okay, look. Before we get into this, I want to tell you why I'm showing you this. But also, before I forget, hold on. I believe, was the roommate's name Michael? I think it was Michael was the roommate that spotted the truck. There's also another roommate that was there that had gone to rehab either that day or shortly after, who is, God, it's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking. They have a lot of regrets, and they were very protective of her. Amberlynn had a daughter or a son. I believe she had kids out in Florida. She was actually kind of a church girl, you know, and she was a sweetheart, and she was very small, very, very tiny. And there's just like a lot about these victims that it's so fucking sad. It's so sad because, yeah, maybe they did pull a ruse or whatever, but she didn't deserve to lose her life. And you can tell that they're in a lot of pain over it, especially because one of them did give that tip. It's got to be frustrating to know that you did everything you could. Thank you, Mad Sarah Stump Double. Thank you for gifting a membership. Okay. Here's what I want to show you guys real quick before we move on to the next thing I want to talk to you about. Because I'm a little curious about something. Because, you know, especially because Rex, he tortured, he strangled. But one thing's for sure. After 2011, once the bodies were found, all of a sudden, no victims attributed to Rex. That would have meant he didn't kill someone for 12, 13 years till he got caught. He wasn't able to stop for a prolonged period, other than one time that we saw between the late 90s, right, and the early 2000s. But even then, we're seeing it was only 2 or 3 years, I think, right? Well, it would have been like maybe 6 tops between Castilla. I need to look at the exact dates, but I think it was Castilla and like Taylor and Valerie Mack, like where they were found. So it wasn't that long. But if you consider the last bodies being found 2011 to now, that's a long time. A lot of people that I've seen who pontificate on this believe that he stopped because they found the bodies and we shouldn't expect to find more. But I say, well, he's an adapter, right? And that was something that I was wrong on. I really didn't think, because it would have had to be him moving backwards, basically going from dismembering and cutting to not dismembering and cutting. That would have been like a Benjamin Button for a serial killer. It's not often you see that. And a lot of people pointed out, even Melanie, like, well, he's getting older. Maybe it's harder to carry bodies and get away with what he's doing as he gets older. Okay. Like physically, it's harder for him. Okay. And that ended up seeming to be the case, right? So fine, I can adapt. I can adjust my thinking. That actually makes sense. All right. I mean, it never didn't make sense to me. I just seems so unique and odd. So now we have to consider that, yeah, they found his bodies. They found his stash. They didn't know it was him, though. So does the man stop killing? Or does he do what he did before and adjust? Does he adjust his method? Does he change his dumping ground? They still didn't catch him for over a decade after. At some point, I think he had to become comfortable and feel like they're not going to get me. Why else do I think that? Because if we believe Nikki Brass, the sex worker who met him in 2015, well, it seems as though he was still seeking out prostitutes. And not only that, he told her, come with me to my house. It was the summer, which lines up with him. He wanted her to come back and leave her car. And what's interesting to me is she said she knew that he was named Rex and she knew where he worked. That surprised me. And then I went, wow, maybe that's why some of the other victims were willing to leave their phones behind, because he perhaps did give them his real name. Maybe he showed them his ID. Why would I tell you my real name? I trusted you with that. That's interesting. Why would you leave someone alive who knew your real name and where you worked? Maybe because you didn't plan on leaving them alive. He seemed very frustrated, she said, that she didn't want to go with him. It really makes me wonder if he was on the hunt again and if she was perhaps someone that he planned to kill, and he didn't get away with it because she didn't want to go with him. Yeah. So, oh, you're talking about Donna? I don't know about Donna Hanelson. I don't know much about that. Yeah, I don't believe he stopped either. So if he's still seeking out toots in 2015, right? Sex workers, however you want to call it. If he's still seeking them out in 2015, 2011 is when his stash of bodies is found, and he's not caught until 2023. Then I started thinking, well, maybe his MO changed. Maybe not only did he change, I mean, we know he went on a date with a sex worker, so sure, that's possible. But would he also change his victim at all? That's highly unlikely. But also, in my opinion, it was highly unlikely to go backwards. And I noticed that a lot of people are showing all the missing people that, like, Catch Lisk is incredible at that. He's constantly putting out, this person's missing, this person's missing, this person's missing. Can we consider this? I think that's important because now we have to consider, is this body that wasn't found bound still potentially someone that Rex could have done? Did he change his dumping ground or his way of doing things or his victim profile after 2011? I don't know. But is it like him to change and to adjust? Yes. So with that said, I started looking at some cases. Now, a lot of people, again, like Catching Lisk, he's pulling up constantly. It doesn't even matter if it was a Rex victim. He's just advocating for these are the missing people because there's a ton in Long Island and New York, around the Northeast. There's so many. And I know that NamUs doesn't have all of the missing people. It's got a small percentage that they're often reported about in the newspaper. So people pull clippings. And there are some people that aren't even reported missing. People don't know they're missing, and then they're found, like Christine Belusco. No one reported her missing or her kid because they didn't know she was missing. They thought she went off to find herself. So what about these niche areas, these niche victim profiles? What about those? You guys know I watch a lot of found footage, right? So I've started taking note of anytime I see a body that's found that for some reason might not be under a cold case website, or maybe it's not heavily put out in the media, or maybe it's someone who's missing but for some reason isn't in NamUs, but there's a news report on them, and then let's follow up and see what happened. There was one that caught my eye. Is it the victim profile of the other women? No, it's not. But there's odd things about it. And I want to show it to you, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I really do. Now, when it comes to separating the trials and the 30 pages, again, like I said, we're not going to read all of that. But I am going to show you some things in it that I find interesting. And I'll do that after you check this out. Okay? Because I want to see what you think about this. This case occurred, I believe it was I believe it was like 2014, 2015. So this 9 years ago is when this came out. Let me know what you think. Hold on one second. And this is one of 4 cases that do pop up every few years as cold cases. But something about it, it just bothers me. Let me know what you think.
Other news tonight, a murder mystery on Long Island. A woman who lived alone found dead in her rented cottage. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports from Nassau County.
Hold on. Let me take the closed captions off of this because they're so behind and it pisses me off. Here we go.
The news tonight, a murder mystery on Long Island. A woman who lived alone found dead in her rented cottage. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports from Nassau County.
She was too nice. She was such a beautiful person. I just can't talk right now. I can't believe this.
Friends in disbelief, learning Suzanne Goldfarb, a beloved nanny and daughter, is dead. Tucked behind this 2-story house on a busy Merrick corner, the 48-year-old rented a cottage for 5 years. Her neighbor in the main house, Jackie Carty, says Goldfarb's parents, worried after she turned down a dinner invitation, came to her home Wednesday night and made the devastating discovery.
It kills me, and they found her. Mother and father found her tied up and strangled in the most horrific way.
Nassau police now combing for evidence at 250 Smith Street, where they found no signs of a break-in, windows closed, doors locked.
The likelihood of a random attack lessens greatly under these conditions. We're exploring every scenario, and we understand that the community has some concern.
Police only revealing she was found in bed, had been tied up, and the cause of death, asphyxiation. Neighbors can't fathom a random act of violence in an out-of-sight backyard rental.
You don't know there's a cottage unless you know. Because if you walk down there, you don't see it.
Goldfarb was a well-liked regular at a deli across the street. She worked as a nanny and picked up her dinner every day.
Very sweet. She would ask you, how was your day? How you doing? She would say, how you doing, honey? That was her.
There would be no inkling of something like this. She didn't run with a bad crowd. She didn't, total surprise.
Police now working with a theory that Goldfarb knew the killer, granted access to her home, or that the perpetrator had a key. That Merrick neighborhood has no history of violent crime. At police headquarters, Mineola, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
Okay, we are going to play that again. Okay? But I want to show you why this freaked me out. First of all, again, not the typical victim profile, not a sex worker that we know of. Okay, she was a nanny. She nannied, it seemed, for the kids who lived in the front house. The guy, I think his name was Jack. Already looked into him. Seems like a decent dude. Seems nice. He was a mess. And he was happy to talk to the police. No issues with him. This was in Merrick, Long Island. Now, when I heard this, I don't know why. Again, I always tell you guys, don't trust your gut until you need to trust your gut. If it's personal, if it's something with you. But something about, in this one, my gut was like, this is weird. Because there have been no fucking leads whatsoever. Okay? And this is a woman in her 40s. Okay? From what I could see about her, she seemed pretty small, She was taking care of 2 kids. again, there was no way someone broke in, according to the police. No sign of a break-in. I did look into that neighborhood. No violent crime recently. Nothing like that. In fact, the most violent crime recently was very close to the neighborhood, and it was Rex. So when you consider that, it's like, well, damn. And this was 4 years after the bodies are found, right? 4 or 5 years after the bodies are found. He was apprehended in 2023. So this was far before he was even a suspect on their radar. They did not say that. But here's what's interesting. When I was looking into it, there were quite a few cases where women were essayed, but it was not released to the media. In fact, a lot of them until a good while later in Long Island. It's also a common situation for police to not want to show their hand, you know? Well, that's what's interesting. That's what's interesting. Let's take a look at how far, and this is what made me go, oh shit. Let's take a look at how far her place is from where Rex lived. Because I think it's going to surprise you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is 250 Smith Street in Merrick, New York. And we're going to do, I'm doing driving directions. Oh, good. What a great spot to pause my face. What a great spot to pause on. Good. That's a good look for me. Excellent. Okay. So let's take a look. And I'm sure if Darlene's in here, she could probably tell you. She probably knows right off the top of her head. It's going to take a moment because it's maps and it likes to freeze me. I don't know if you can still hear me. I don't know if you can still hear me. Here we go. Finally. Excellent. Okay. So on the route, I don't know if it broke up. I don't know if it's paused me. There we go. Now it's paused on me vaping. That's good. That's going to look good. It's going to look good when the fucking assholes screenshot that and call me names. They're going to say, look at this unprofessional bitch. She doesn't care about victims. She vapes. You can't have a soul if you vape. That's what they'll say. I know, I'm still paused. This is why I never break away and find things for fly, because StreamYard is so good about allowing that. Motherfuckers. Okay, here we go. So Merrick, where she is, there is one highway called 27 that goes through Belmore, past Seaford, and then Massapequa, right there. The middle point is Twin Lakes Preserve. So let's take a look at, and this is probably going to pause me again, and that's going to be fun for fucking no one. But I'm clicking directions, and I'm now going to put in 105 First Avenue, Massapequa Park, New York. And that is where Rex lives. I know you can't see it. You're about to, because it takes a moment. Here we go. So this is where she lives. All right. So this is where she was found. And I see that it is paused nicely. Okay. And then it's 6.9 miles straight here. And then that's where Rex lives. So not too far when you consider, let's scroll out, that one of the dates that he went on. Oh, well, this is nice. Now it's paused again. That's great. Is way the fuck up here, right? And then over here is where the bodies get dumped. And then some up here. So we've got a nice long area here. We've got bodies up this way. And we've got Rex right here. And then we've got her right there. Okay? I find it interesting. The straight shot. It's very close. It's very convenient. And Sunrise Highway. Yes, that is the one. Remember, look, Freeport Sunrise Highway. This whole highway right here, this was Rifkin dumping ground, right? This was Shawcross dumping ground. This was an area that was like, oh, this is where everybody goes fucking missing. Remember Hammerheads? Remember that? And don't forget, where did Rex work growing up? Was it Jones Beach, right? Right here. There's the Ocean Parkway. All this right here. There's Gilgo. So that's creepy to think too. His house, Gilgo, where the bodies are dumped. Do you see? Like, think about it this way. If he had a tower and he was standing on that tower, he could literally look down at all of his bodies. Rex looks like a hammerhead. It's very funny. So here's the thing. When I see that, a guy who's into bondage that ties up and kills women lives right here, and there's no other victims of tied up women who were killed other than right here, and then one right fucking here shortly after, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. Carpenter's hammerhead. Jesus Christ. It is also very strange to me that she was tied up in a bed and there was, you know, she's a nanny. She's not somebody that, you know what I mean, that did sex work that we know of. I did look into her history. I found that she had been married to a guy quite a few years before. It was in, like, I think the New York Times, the wedding announcement. Seems like at the time she lived alone. She was no longer with that guy. I don't know what happened there. Doesn't seem like anything nefarious. It'd been a long time. That's what I was thinking. It bothers me because it does. It seems like maybe he was playing with his method of picking victims. It seems like that. From what I could tell, okay, not a ton on that, but what I could tell, she seemed kind of small, but I'm a big girl, so I don't really know. And the one thing that I did find was kind of old. But here's another thing I'm wondering. Would he be willing to change up the victim profile? Because if you look at Nikki Brass, she's thicker than a snicker. She's a thick lady. And I looked back and I saw some of her advertisements from back then, and she always been a thick, curvy lady. So part of me is wondering if he was not only willing to change up perhaps his method, but also who he picked and the size of his victims. Would he be willing to do that? I mean, he went from chopping people up to leaving them out on a beach in one spot. He went from woods to beach. He went from chopping to not chopping. Would he, after the bodies have been found, the threat isn't so much on him, but it's on this trend. He now knows that they know his pattern. They might not know who he is, but he knows that they know the pattern. He knows that they see the connection, all sex workers. Why on earth, if you know, and you're someone who studies serial killers, which he made it very clear he did, why on earth would you continue going after sex workers is my question. Now, we know he went on a date with Nikki. At least if we believe her, we do. Makes me wonder if perhaps he would be willing to now adjust because the pattern is now affecting him. I do believe her too. I believe her too. And so that's why I'm like, I wonder if he was partaking in other options for victims and decided, nope, gotta go back. It's not going to do for me. Here's another thing, though. And what I'm about to say, I just don't want to be considered like this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a thought. This is a question I'm asking you. And I do want answers from you guys if you have an opinion on this. Because are there things we can look back on and maybe consider this as a possibility? Sure. But is there a ton to draw from? No. But here's what I'm wondering. He saw Nikki in the summer. The next known time, if we believe her, which I do, that we know between finding of the bodies and now, one time that I personally think I believe it. So let's say that we know it. The one time that we know he chose a sex worker or he went back out with a sex worker was the summer of 2015. And it was Nikki. She knew his name. She knew where he worked. She got a creepy feeling and he was desperately trying to get her out of that restaurant and to his house on a summer when his wife and kids were definitely out of town. And not only that, he wanted to get her isolated in his car. Leave your car here and take it back to my house. It didn't work. And she even made it known that she knew because they discussed the Long Island serial killer. So you imagine your Rex, and you're on a date, and you've picked someone. Let's presume he's picked her. And not only does she not buy your bullshit, she knows your name. She knows where you work. She knows about the Long Island serial killer. She brought up that it disturbs her, that she's a true crime buff, that she pays attention to things, and that she doesn't want to go with you. In fact, she doesn't want to go with you so much that she saw fit to call someone to meet her at the front so she can leave. Because in her words, she thought he was going to follow her. So she gets away. She's the one that got away. Rex, I wonder if in his head, because in my head, I'm going, I wonder if Rex at that point went, shit. I can't do sex workers anymore. They're on to me. They've seen the news. Because here's why I wonder that. Because if he had anything to do with this woman, again, don't know. I just think it's strange. Hers, I believe, was in November. So if the date with Nikki, I believe, was in September, October, November. Now this woman, who is not a sex worker, I wonder if, yeah, he did. He asked her if she'd heard about Gilgo Beach. He's like, he told her he was a true crime nut. So I wonder if her not going with him, knowing everything about him, everything important at least, his name and where he works, 2015. So she's there, and then 2 months later, this woman who's not a sex worker ends up tied up, murdered. Everything's kind of different, but also the only binding of rope and killing of someone before that had been Jones Beach or Gilgo Beach. So did that meeting with Nikki cause him to maybe consider changing up how he did things and who he did it to? It would have only been 2 months before. That's crazy to think about. I wonder that too. If the guys at the deli ever saw Rex around. They spoke about Lisk and he inflated the body count pre-Ellie finding more bodies. Yeah. And he also mentioned the hammer to her. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if he was trying to explore, because here's the thing. 2 months before this nanny, let's watch this again. Let's watch this again. Because this is, let me see. Hold on one second. Yeah, November 19th, 2015 is when this report was. So 2 months after meeting Nikki Brass and her going, fuck you, no way, and leaving, and him finding out all these fucking prostitutes are now on to me, and they ain't buying that shit. They know about the Long Island serial killer. I wonder if it occurred to him, holy fuck, that was close. I need to switch some things up. And here's the other thing. Let's say he changed it up, okay, and he wasn't able to get anyone that summer. But summer is when he gets people. Why does he do it? Because his wife is out of town. His kids are out of town. Well, guess what? November, his wife and kids are home. But this nanny was killed in her home. I mean, I would think that he was going to change. If he was going to change things, that could have been the way. Yeah, I've seen her talk about the group thing. I've seen a lot of people talk about the group thing. I don't think there's a group personally, but I can see why some people would think that. I saw pictures of her back then. She wasn't, I don't think that she was deathly skinny. I think she was, if anything, she was normal, but I still think she was kind of a thicker frame girl. But fair enough. I mean, she's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I think she's beautiful now. I think she's just a lovely lady. And or was she a secret low-key sex worker? I do wonder. I don't know. That's a good question, Daniel. He had a to-do list. He knew. Hammer. Her autopsy is not available. I tried. Not that he isn't a main actor, but there is a reason he got away with this for so long, aka James Burke and Company. So I've wondered about that too. I don't know, because the more I look into James Burke, the more I realize he only hung out with a couple of cops. Now, I will tell you one thing. In the sex forums, there is one particular guy who was a part of the threatening of Amber Costello because he was neighbors, I believe, with someone who went to her house. And another guy who also takes part in sex workers. It was post Long Island serial killer getting blapped and or the bodies being found. But everyone's looking for the Long Island serial killer, right? And this guy in this forum makes it a point to say, hey, fellow hobbyists, aka Johns, you should know that there is a stakeout on the track. The track meaning where the prostitutes walk up and down the sex workers. And this is when it was still open air, which it still kind of always is, but it had been sparing. So he was saying in this forum, hey, hobbyists, be aware that there is a lure out, basically. There are police on the watch, on the track. This is where the officer sits. And I know because my buddy is is a police sergeant with Suffolk. And I went, that's interesting. And I went back and looked at all of his posts. And this guy frequently references being homies with a police sergeant. Now, I was able to identify the actual names IRL of a lot of these Johns, and the amount of them that are officer adjacent or friends with officers or ex-officers themselves is fucking absurd. It is absurd. And I find it interesting because this specific guy's homie, who is a police sergeant, could potentially be 2 or 3 people. I also do think, based on everything that I've seen from, because I used to be in these Suffolk cop forums and they didn't know that I was not a cop, but I would go read them. And I can tell you one thing, a lot of these dudes don't hang out with people that aren't cops. It's fucking weird. Like, they're kind of obsessed and they like to make fun of people who pretend to be cops, and they rip on mall security all the time. They rip on rent-a-cops. It's just very strange to me. I do think Burke was covering, but I also wonder if there is a group and they're covering for something different. And it's not the murdered women, it's other nefarious shit. Like they choke strippers. They go to that Babylon strip club and they choke them. And Burke has done it himself in front of a fellow officer. In fact, we can't even get into that now, but we are going to get into that because that's a great point. There is a whole blog on that from a local who has been following it forever. And he spills all the fucking tea. And goddamn, it can be backed up too. And it's fascinating. And I would love to get him on here, but I don't know that he would do any YouTube stuff. But I do want to show you his blog later. But let's watch this news report one more time and you tell me what you think. All right, let's just watch it one more time because I'd like to look more into this. It could not have anything to do with Rex, but there's something that just tells me this is a weird one. Especially the proximity. It's so weird to me. Let's watch it one more time.
Other news tonight, a murder mystery on Long Island. A woman who lived alone found dead in her rented cottage. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports from Nassau County.
She was too nice. She was such a beautiful person. She was, I just can't talk right now. I can't believe this.
Friends in disbelief, learning Suzanne Goldfarb, a beloved nanny and daughter, is dead. Tucked behind this two-story house on a busy Merrick corner, the 48-year-old rented a cottage for 5 years. Her neighbor in the main house, Jack Carty, says Goldfarb's parents, worried after she turned down a dinner invitation, came to her home Wednesday night and made the devastating discovery.
It kills me, and they found her. Mother and father found her tied up and strangled in the most horrific way.
Nassau police now combing for evidence at 250 Smith Street, where they found no signs of a break-in, windows closed, doors locked.
The likelihood of a random attack lessens greatly under these conditions. We're exploring every scenario, and we understand that the community has some concern.
Police only revealing she was found in bed, had been tied up, and the cause of death, asphyxiation. Neighbors can't fathom a random act of violence in an out-of-sight backyard rental.
You don't know there's a cottage unless you know. Because if you walk down there, you don't see it.
Goldfarb was a well-liked regular at a deli across the street. She worked as a nanny.
I will tell you something. I drove around on Google Maps this area, and you really can't see the cottage. I hesitate to say this, but I'll just say it because I don't think she'd care. In fact, I know she won't care. She'll probably come on one day. But I have a friend who lives very close to Rex, and I didn't know. I did not know. And I've known this chick for like 20 years. She used to do stand-up comedy with me. And, well, I wouldn't say with me, there in New York. But she came here, and we've done stand-up together here in Texas. But she lives very close. And it's not Rosie O'Donnell. How dare you? I wish. I fucking wish. Don't rub it in my face that I'm not friends with Rosie. I want to be friends with Rosie. Listen. I asked her the other day when I saw this again, because I had it in a list, and I was like, why did I think this was weird? I go and I give her a call, and I say, hey, have you ever been to Smith Street Deli? And she's like, no, where is it? And I sent her the address on the map, and she goes, bitch, I live like 10 minutes from there. And I said, bitch, can you drive around this house? And I gave her the Smith Street address. And she was like, sure, why? Was this a prank? I was like, no. And I showed her. I said, I want to know, can you see this fucking area? Like, can you see the little area behind the house? Do you see a cottage there? Do you see anything that indicates like a granny rental? And she knew what I was talking about. Here in Austin, we call them grandma rentals. She was going to move here for a while. And she's like, sure, I'll do it on my way home. She was driving home. She said she drove around the block 3 times. She got lost, ended up in another neighborhood, goes back, drives around the block again, takes a look, goes, holy shit, no. She said that there were bushes. Like, she said it's just a bunch of bushes. Like, she's like, it's just all trees. But she said that if you go around the back, there's like a driveway that goes into this business. And she said that there's a fucking fence. And she's like, I even parked back there and there were trees blocking and I couldn't see anything. I was like, that's wild. So then after that, I sent her this and she was like, holy shit. And she was like, girl, you trying to get me fucking killed? I was like, no. But she did tell me, she's like, it is the sweetest neighborhood. She said it was so cute. She's like, I might want to get a place here. She's like, I like where I am, but this is cuter. And then I was like, boom, someone got murdered. She's like, fuck that. But I thought it was crazy. I was like, wow. So yeah, she's like, you would have no idea. It just looks like a normal fucking house. Why are you making me do this? I don't know Rosie O'Donnell. I'm not lying. I don't know Rosie. I don't. I wish I knew Rosie. I have her doll, her fucking Barbie. I promise. Fucking, I don't know Rosie. Leave me alone. I don't. What is this? The movie is Jeanne Delman, 23 Commerce Quay, 1080 Brussels. It's so fucking good. Starring that, I'll look it up. The woman whose name Jeanne Delman is only discerned from the title and a letter that she reads to her son, earns money by having sex with a different client each afternoon before her son arrives home. Like her other activities, Janine's prostitution is part of a mundane routine she performs daily by rote. Oh. Well, there is that woman in Colorado who was a madam and no one knew. She was fucking soccer mom of the year, And it turns out, you tell her, yeah, I told her after I sent her out there, I'm a piece of shit. I did do that. I done my friend Machi, I sent to a crime scene in Dallas. And then afterwards I was like, well, she should have known. Cause I said, Machi, is this a body? And she was like, what? And I sent her a picture. It looked like an arm. She's like, I'm close to there. I was like, go see if that's an arm. Cause there was a missing girl. That bitch drove over there knowing. Oh my God. It's not long. I do have Long Island medium story. I told her, I said, Machiko, go there. Tell me, is this an arm? And she went there. She called the police. The police went to meet her to go down there to see because it was on Google Maps. And it did look like an arm. And so she calls the cops and they go down there and they're like, not an arm. It was like something else. She was like, oh, fuck. And they're like, Jesus, you came out here alone at 2 a.m. and yeah, we saw an arm on Google Maps. It ended up not being real, but it was scary. It was absolutely scary. Also had to interview that bitch once. Don't believe anything from her. Fucking liar. She, in my opinion, her producers looked up a bunch of stuff online because there were things about your old dad from the comedy days, early, that were put up by strangers, like when people write your bio because you don't turn it in on time. And that was quoted back to me on the phone. And I was like, well, now I know where you got that. And no, that's not true. Satan's not in charge. How dare you? You sound so sketchy tonight. Lost my license, so I drive on Google Maps too. That's actually very funny. Hey, mine got suspended once without me knowing because of toll tag tickets. That was crazy. Let me see. I saw a bunch of shit about Gene Hackman, the dog and the wife, and how now it's suspicious, but before the police said it wasn't. I have no idea what's going on with that. I would like to look it up though. Anyway, I did not let this news report finish. I apologize. Let me go back to it because I find it very interesting and odd. Again, I don't know if this has anything to do with Rex, but I do think it's strange. It's very close, in my opinion, within 20 minutes of his house. It's a straight shot, and the proximity is very similar to the proximity to Gilgo. And they said, this isn't a violent neighborhood and haven't had a crime like this around here ever. But I mean, the next choking death that could be found in that 5-year time period would have been right there. That's both the closest and the most recent that I could find that wasn't solved. Strange. Very strange.
Other news tonight, a murder mystery on Long Island. A woman who lived alone found dead in her rented cottage. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports from Nassau County.
She was too nice. She was such a beautiful person. I just can't talk right now. I can't believe this.
Friends in disbelief, learning Suzanne Goldfarb, a beloved nanny and daughter, is dead. Tucked behind this two-story house on a busy Merrick corner, the 48-year-old rented a cottage for 5 years. Her neighbor in the main house, Jack Carty, says Goldfarb's parents, worried after she turned down a dinner invitation, came to her home Wednesday night and made the devastating discovery.
It kills me, and they found her. Mother and father found her tied up and strangled in the most horrific way.
Nassau police now combing for evidence at 250 Smith Street, where they found.
And I just want to point out, she would go have dinner with her parents. From what I read, it seemed like a regular thing. Not like every night, but they had like 1 or 2 nights a week. She would go over there and they would have dinner. And so it was kind of odd of her to turn it down. But it was, I believe, the next night or the next day was when this happened, because they hadn't heard from her since. So that's kind of strange. And it makes me go, so she had dinner plans? Or just plans with someone? This is odd.
No signs of a break-in, windows closed, doors locked.
The likelihood of a random attack lessens greatly under these conditions. We're exploring every scenario, and we understand that the community has some concern.
Police only revealing she was found in bed, had been tied up, and the cause of death, asphyxiation. Neighbors can't fathom a random act of violence in an out-of-sight backyard rental.
You don't know there's a cottage unless you know. Because if you walk down there, you don't see it.
Goldfarb was a well-liked regular at a deli across the street. She worked as a nanny and picked up her dinner every day.
Very sweet. She would ask you, how was your day? How you doing? She would say, how you doing, honey? That was.
See how they said picked up her dinner every day? That was interesting to me, because she also has this tradition to go over and eat with her parents once or twice a week. So dinner is on lock, right? So something happened that made them go, where is she? I would imagine they asked them, did she pick up dinner? If she didn't, I would want to know, she must have had dinner plans, right? People got to eat dinner. She picked it up every day. That tells me she doesn't cook for herself, right? She typically picks it up. But she's not going out with her parents. So where is she getting dinner that night? Makes me wonder if she had plans with someone. Who is that person?
There would be no inkling of something like this. She didn't run with a bad crowd. She didn't, total surprise.
Police now working with a theory that Goldfarb knew the killer, granted access to her home, or that the perpetrator had a key. That Merrick neighborhood has no history of violent crime. At police headquarters,
Another thing, the only people who would have had a key would not have been the guy in the front. This is the first thing I was wondering. Let me tell you why. The landlord rented out the front house and the back cottage. They didn't live there. This guy was a renter, the guy in the front house. He was friends with her. He wouldn't have had a key. The landlord also did not live on site. I believe they were pretty far away from what I could tell. Yes, I looked into property records. So it makes me go, did she let someone in that she knew? Because I just don't see the key thing being a thing. She had an ex-husband. I don't know if he passed away or what happened to him, but he hadn't been around for a while. Doubtful he would have had a key. It's very strange to me, and it makes me wonder if she let someone in or planned to meet someone, and then maybe they were picking her up. This is a good point. I was thinking about that too. Maybe she didn't lock her door because you can't see the cottage. No one would know it's back there, right? Maybe she felt safe. Weird. Let's let it finish.
Neola, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
And police have not pinpointed the time of the murder, but they say the victim spoke with her parents the night before they found her body.
These people are in our society. They're cannibals.
Okay. So this, I know Mookie's, he has to go tinkle. So this is what I was talking about. Some of you guys wanted to hear more, and you were like, when did this John Ray guy, when did he say these things about Vicky? When did this go down? What was going on with this? That is my episode, my Leave Vicky Alone episode. But I tossed this in here for those of you who did want to still see it. This is the scrunchy guy. This is why we wear our scrunchies. Because what the fuck, John Ray? I know Mookie's. But Mookie's has to pee. So I'm going to put this on so you can see what I'm talking about. And also because I like Jesse Webber in Sidebar. I think he looks like Penn Badgley. I'm going to take Mookie's out to pee and I'll be right back.
The monsters, they're human devils.
Keep in mind, this guy's talking about Victoria Heuermann, who would have been a child at the time. Okay? So this is an example of how people can do good in the beginning and then they can do bad all by themselves. All right?
They're evil. The Heuermanns are part of that package.
A strange and often disturbing news conference was held last week, suggesting the family of accused Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann of also showing interest in these savage crimes. We're breaking down these latest allegations and whether there's really anything there. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Webber. Hey everybody, this is a Law and Crime legal alert. Google Incognito tracked users' browsing data without their knowledge. Yep, well, Mass Tort Alliance, one of our legal sponsors, is helping users file for compensation due to Google users' privacy issues surrounding Google Incognito. So if you've used Google Incognito anytime since 2016, you can start your claim in less than 10 questions at incognitoclaims.com/sidebar. We've been following updates on the case of the suspected Gilgo Beach, Long Island serial killer. But now, Manhattan architect Rex Heuermann is no longer accused of just killing the Gilgo Four. No, prosecutors have charged the 60-year-old with the murders of two more women, Jessica Taylor in 2003 and Sandra Castillo back in 1993. So now we're talking a suspected murder spree going back even further, going back into the 90s. Now, Heuermann had already been charged with the murders of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Costello, Megan Bartholomew, and Megan Waterman. All of those women's bodies were found near the Gilgo Beach shoreline, hence the name. But it wasn't until last year that police finally announced that they had a suspect and arrested Heuermann. He's pleaded not guilty. He remains locked up. But let's not forget that it was actually the search for Shannon Gilbert, who went missing in 2010, that led to the discovery of nearly a dozen bodies at Gilgo Beach and started all this investigation. Now, prosecutors say that Heuermann's DNA and the DNA of family members is connected to hairs that were found on the victims' bodies. That's been a major piece of evidence. The task force in Suffolk County recently did a second search of Heuermann's home, reportedly focusing more on the basement. Law enforcement has carted out boxes and boxes, even searching the backyard. Ray Tierney, the lead prosecutor on this case, the DA, said that investigators seized 350 electronic devices, everything from hard drives to cell phones to USBs, even hundreds of floppy disks. They reportedly even found a planning document on how to kill and discard of bodies. So we can only imagine what evidence would be presented at a future trial of Rex Heuermann. But Mr. Tierney says that a lot of what the task force has found with the help of the Secret Service is also violent torture porn, which shows things that seem to coincide with the remains of at least 3 women that were discovered. Now, with that as a backdrop, we have to talk about this new update. And it concerns New York lawyer John Ray. So John Ray represents the family of Shannon Gilbert, who I mentioned before. Now, he and her loved ones believe that she too was the victim of Rex Heuermann while she was working as a sex worker. But to be clear, Heuermann has not been charged in connection with her specific death, which was declared an accident. Nonetheless, Ray and his team, they've continued their own investigation, not only into Rex Heuermann, but also his family, Heuermann's wife, Asa Ellerup, and their now adult daughter, Victoria. Heuermann also has an adult son, Christopher, who is not named during this press conference, but let's take a listen.
I'm in pursuit of Shannon Gilbert's killers and the full truth and the facts and circumstances surrounding all of these murders, as I've been from the beginning. I represent that family, the Gilbert family, and I represent several victims' families of Rex Heuermann who survived him and were attacked by him or stalked by him. So I'm not here today, by the way, to just speak about exclusively about Shannon, but I'm here to speak about what we have discovered regarding one of the children and the implications of that for the family.
Yeah. So last week, Ray held a news conference to discuss a bevy of circumstantial evidence.
First of all, motion to start calling Judge Bev Bevy. What do you think of that? Very curious what you think of that. Bevy. It is an entendre of the double persuasion. You'll allow it? Excellent. It is so. Granted, says Little Misfit, and I'll allow it. I'll allow. She didn't even finish with it. Damn, none of your business. That's cool. Biased bevy. What about based bevy? It's a cute cat, by the way. Also, was it John? One of you fellas, one of the fellows in my demo, we got a handful of fellas in here. One of the boys sent me a nice collection of Hoogans, of some cutie patooties, some cute puppa doggies. That's my baby dog. Oh my God. You guys have the cutest pets. I have to add it to Dad's fridge, which I do plan on unveiling shortly. I do. You're going to sleep on it? Thank you, Giovanni's Pikachu. Please let me know what you decide, because I think Bevy is good. Also, Jesse Weber, trust him completely with my life. Better than Brian Enton. There, I said it. Also, here's what I love about Jesse Weber, and I don't often... I criticize people when I shouldn't. Because look at me, I'm a fucking mess. But I talk mad shit. I deserve everything, I'm sure, that I get. Except from those fucking Australians, because fuck them. And the guy that pretends to be a girl. And that fucking weirdo. Fucking True Crime Nate. Stuck my dick in my balls, sir. To him. They deserve everything they get. Fuck them. But Ashley Banfield. Okay? Hell, even Nancy Grace. I'll give her some fucking grace. Okay? I shit on them, and sometimes they're good, and I like to acknowledge when they do good. Jesse's never done anything wrong in his life. He's a sweetheart. He's an angel. He looks like Penn Badgley. He looks like Penn Badgley. He is an angel. Don't you love him, Hugin? Don't you love him, baby boy? Hugin says hello. He's had a biscuit. I secretly love Nancy, too. How dare you? I hate her, but I love her. I don't hate anybody. I hate love her. When she is right, I'm like, fucking get him, Nancy. Old 90s Nancy? Oh, my God. Nancy, when she's crying about the twins, I'm like, that's a bit much. When she's camped out on a lawn, I'm like, how dare you, man? That is the best example of a guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty for listening to music I think is good, but I do feel guilty for watching Nancy ever. Could not agree more. Yeah. And that's coming from the devil. So that says something. Old Nancy is turned the fuck up and out. Damn it, dude. She's fucking wild. She's out of control. But when she found, what was it, Balloon Boy or whatever? When the dad, when she was like, sir, your kid was just found in your house. What say you? I'm like, damn, Nancy. Inject that Nancy right into my veins, because that was crazy. That was crazy. I can't breathe. What direction is she screaming on Karen Reed? None. It's too complicated for Nancy. There's no children dead in that one. And she can't relate it to the twins in any way. I am willing to bet that she'd be more vocal on Birchmore because that's her lane. You know what I mean? Yeah. As a guest, you know she's going to assault you. Absolutely. Basement boy, there were two boys. There was basement boy and there was balloon boy. One kid was hiding in the basement so his parents could say he was missing. And the other was a boy that was in a big balloon, and he ended up not being in the balloon, also hidden, I believe, in a basement. What case was peak Nancy Grace? Probably her own. But I would say, damn, there was one where it was in Atlanta, I want to say defense attorney or prosecutor. It was the attic. Well, one of them was an attic, the other was a basement. Yeah, Bubble Boy. No, it was a big silver weather balloon, and they said that the kid was in it. It was so dumb. It was a loft in the garage. Okay, Melissa. Okay, that's enough. Happy Saturday morning, Kim. Happy Saturday morning. Yeah, so peak Nancy, I guess, would be I mean, there was one case she tried in Atlanta, or she didn't try it in Atlanta. She was a prosecutor in it, and it was somebody who shot, I want to say it was a defense attorney, and she was shot by her client or someone on parole. And I remember reading some of that case. You can actually find some of her shit on Judy Records, and it's fascinating to read transcripts. She makes some good fucking points. But anyway, I would never send Wendy out there. I like Jesse Weber a lot. I like when his dogs at one point bark in the background of a very serious law and sidebar that he does right around Gabby Petito. And I remember he was in the middle of this very important one, and you can hear his dogs in the background. And that's when I realized, oh my God, at the time he was using a fake set. He was using a green screen. You couldn't even tell. I started to realize, oh my God, he's doing all of this at home. And then I looked back on it, and I think that all of this is just him maybe at home, and he's just got really great production. And then Law and Crime scooped him up. Fascinating. I'm gonna let him cook a little bit, because I really like this sidebar. I threw it up there just for, hey, here, I'm gonna let you watch the beginning to remind you of why we do the scrunchy thing and why I say homeboy got turned, aka John Ray. He flippy floppied a little on us. A little nutty for a minute, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. Good can do bad and vice versa, but then we get Jesse. Let's take a look at this young man.
Evidence that his team uncovered. Now, to be clear, circumstantial evidence isn't direct proof that something happened. But as we well know, if you have enough circumstantial evidence, it can certainly lead to an arrest. It can lead to a conviction. But to be clear,
God damn. Hold on. Sorry if I piqued your ears right there. Show that again.
Well, no, if you have enough circumstantial evidence.
Holy shit. Homie. That's a long ass fucking nose hair, dude. Also, who did this? Who did this to you, Rex? Props to them. That's hilarious. But that's the longest fucking nose hair I've ever seen in my life. Let's keep going.
It can certainly lead to an arrest. It can lead to a conviction. But to be clear, what Ray asserts and what we're about to get into, these are just allegations at this point. It's also not entirely clear what to make of it. We should also tell you that no charges have been filed against Victoria or Asa, and there's no evidence that she or Asa or anyone in the family is under investigation by law enforcement in any way. Why? Well, Suffolk County prosecutors have said repeatedly that they do not believe Heuermann's family was involved in any way with these crimes. In fact, there's evidence that they were out of town when the murders were committed. But Ray has long believed that there is no way Heuermann's family didn't know what he was up to or what he allegedly was up to. Remember, according to charging documents, Heuermann...
Pausing it here to say something else. I got a little obsessed with Rex's bent finger in one episode because I was like, this is an interview from recently. And then when we look at whatever old stuff we can find of him, the little bit where we see his hands, they don't look that bent. What happened to that finger? Who hurt that finger? I bet one of these chicks fucking broke his finger. This is weird. Nobody's finger goes that way. I was a bit obsessed with it. I still kind of am. I don't know why it is the way it is, but I went on a Rex hunt. And by that, I mean, I had a choice word for it. I called it a cunt hunt at the time because I was being a real cunt about it. I was like, look, no, we all have crooked fingers, but his finger didn't look crooked in the past and looks crooked now. And I went, that's weird. Why are there pictures where his finger doesn't look totally bent outward to the side? And in this one, it does. And it was the interview with the French guy in his office. And I thought, that's weird. That's weird. So while it's normal to have fucked up fingers, I mean, anybody can have a fucked up finger. You can be born with one. You can have no finger. You can chop your finger off. All sorts of things can happen with fingers. I actually have a tattoo of a finger being cut off on my body. Is that weird? Yeah, totally. But when you consider it's a tribute to the film 4 Rooms by Tarantino, his specific fourth of that, then it makes sense. Mookies, you like that? I just gave him a bone. He enjoyed it. He said, thank you. So, gorilla fingers can be smoked. Hold on. Sorry, take this down. What? What? Smoking gorilla fingers? I know that you can smoke a banana and trip out, but not gorilla fingers? Can you smoke a toad? I've heard people smoke toad. They lick toad or something? Yeah, I did not know that. Thank you. I am going to Google that later. I will star that. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's Mrs. Pox. Everyone clean your room. Hide your bonks, clean your room. It's Mrs. Pox. Yeah, I don't know I guess you could break a gorilla finger off and smoke it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. A, I don't want to hurt the gorilla. And B, I don't think it would taste good. Oh! Well, that's weird. Really? I've never heard of that. Sounds like a strain. Is it a strain? Are you kids fucking with me right now? Not Gorilla Glue? Yeah, I don't know. You guys are fucking with me in front of Miss Parks. I don't appreciate it. Oh, it is a strain. Okay, yeah, Gorilla. But okay, well, you can. All right, you're all talking about weed. You're all talking about weed now. How did we get onto weed? I'm trying to solve a fucking case, and you guys are talking. I'm so sorry. Imagine if you really had a dad like that. Imagine that you're sitting at a table and you're telling your dad about a new strain of marijuana and he's just screaming at you. And he's just like, I'm over here trying to solve a goddamn serial killing case and you kids are telling me about your strains. So many hybrids. Here, Mookies, you can have the rest. I know, they're being crazy tonight. I'm sorry. Here, have that. There you go, honey. He's eating. He's overeating biscuits now because of you and all of the fucking stress. Thicker than a Snicker is very funny. It's thicker than a Snicker. Aussie Mel threw an R on there. Okay. I'm still on the DNA. Yeah, me too. I'm still stressed about the DNA. Gorilla Glue is a strain. Yeah, it is. It is. It is, absolutely. And so is Ladyfingers. So now I'm wondering, is that a crossbreed? We'll find out later. Find out on the next true crime episode. I wasn't aware I got pranked either, and Daniel's loving it. Daniel's loving it. Absolutely. That's right. I drive a Dodge Stratus. Like fucking Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell and Pierce Brosnan, that one where he screams what he screams, and I'm not going to scream it now, but that was one of the funniest moments ever. I'm in LA. Miss Parks, is it for the reason I think it is? Is that why you've been distant? In our secret group creator texts that we don't have, Melissa, just kidding. She said that once, and now I love making her paranoid. In all seriousness, we've been wondering, where's Miss Parks? Has she left us for the History Hyenas? Is she okay? Is she back in Florida tanning? But I see that you're excited to see me live again. I'm live every day. Where have you been? Give me proof of life, Miss Parks. Where have you been? Why are you in LA? Can we tell them? Is it why I think? If it's why I think you're there, can I tell them? Blink twice. Wait, I can't see your blinks. Say yes. He absolutely Hugin celebrated Jen McCabe Day. He put a body on the lawn of a squirrel. I said, don't do that. He said, it wasn't me, did he? I have an auntie who yells at me that I should be freeing Karens whenever I do anything else. Not all Karens, though. That's a bumper sticker. Not all Karens. Yeah, and Lil Misfit was hungry, so now she's mad because she has a gorilla in the backyard. She was about to break its fingers off, and then you pronked her. Thanks. It true. Oh. People are having Tourette's in this chat. Miss Parks, can I tell them? Is it why we can tell them? Really? I can tell them, you guys. I feel like we should put music on for this. Miss Parks, do you want to call in and tell them yourself? Because I feel bad taking this from you. I feel like I'm taking this from you. I feel like you should announce this. Can I drop you a link or should I tell them? Just tell me what to do. If you're busy and I'll tell them. But if you want to call and announce it to everybody, I'm here for it. Because Mrs. Parks is in LA for a very good reason. A reason? What? Oh, Daddy's home. Hold on. Daddy's home. Hold on. Hello. We're about to make an announcement. Yay. Oh, he's not excited at all. Don't worry. We're having lettuce wraps for dinner. Oh, you have to get up early? Okay, I can tell them. All right, I'm going to make the announcement. You're here. He actually already knows Miss Parks. I already told him. Okay, here's the announcement. She's not famous in leaving us, but she is famous. What's that? An award ceremony? That's right. Mrs. Parks is going to be attending the Oscars. Did you get the dress? Is it the green one, the emerald green one? She's attending the Oscars. She's going to be at the fucking Academy Awards. Yo, dude. Yo, I know you do win. How did you know? She's going to be at the Oscars. She didn't win an Oscar, but we will get one and award it to her. She's going to be at the Oscars. She's getting the emerald green dress. It looks amazing. It's hot. I will not shut up. It is fun. And oh my God, it's awesome. She is much fancy. So exciting. This is so exciting. We're going to see Mrs. Parks has agreed to do what she did at Karen's dinner for me and to be my surrogate, right, Miss Parks? And what are you going to do, Miss Parks? You're going to slap the shit out of whoever's hosting. You're going to walk up and you're going to say, keep Mr. Parks' name out of your fucking mouth, and you're going to slap him. She's not going to do that. I apologize. Nobody, don't ban Mrs. Parks from the Oscars, okay? She will share red carpet photos. Should we watch it? You all know a famous person. Your sister is famous. Also, happy birthday to my sister, by the way. Happy birthday, Michelle. She did not answer my call today. That bitch. Happy birthday to her. I love her so much. And I love you, Miss Parks. And you're going to fucking be glorious when you slap the shit out of Will Smith. Because I know you and you can't be held down. Okay? No, she slapped the shit out of Will Smith. I promise. Just kidding. That's right. There you go. Look, screenwriting fellowship. We're already, everything's coming together. Okay, guys. I have to go. I just wanted to show you some of that stuff. Thank you so much. We're going to go eat. Not go eat. We're going to eat here. I will be linking the 30-page memorandum below that we talked about earlier. It is literally all on the separation of trials. And then there's another one I'll add that's about the DNA and the Fry hearing. They're going to have the Fry hearing. They're going to decide what they're going to do about that. And the judge is pissed about it. We're not going to read all of it. We went through a little bit of it. I basically summarized what it's about, but I will include it below. Okay? We will be harassing family members before their birthday. No one will be watching the red carpet during our stroll. I will. I will look at the live cam. I do believe there is a live cam there, so we will be watching for you. We miss your face. And I will figure out how we can live stream some of it at least. I know that you can't read, but we'll teach you. Okay. Thank you, friends. Didn't mean to. Oh, you didn't derail at all. I was about to wrap it up, so this is perfect. Okay. We're going to continue. Can you give us an ear tug like Paul did? Can you? And yes, lettuce rolls for dinner. Absolutely. 4 of you did not hit the like button, therefore you're grounded. I hope that you enjoyed everything tonight. 4 rooms, like my tattoo. How dare you? Very clever. And I love you, Miss Parks. You're going to be glorious. You're going to look so hot. You and Mr. Parks, you're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. They're going to end up letting you into Vanity Fair just because of the aura that you give off. Okay? And I feel that for you. Try to sneak me out a gift. And by that, I mean Leonardo DiCaprio's hair or Jake Gyllenhaal. Throw an Illuminati symbol at us or a diamond cutter. Like, remember I taught you guys DDP and yoga? Bam. Throw me a diamond cutter. All right? She is our Carol Burnett. Hit the like button when you hate it the most. And thank you guys so much. Do a cheeky smile for us or flash us a butt cheek. Whatever you want. Good night to everyone. Carrie B as well. Diamond cutter, DDP to you. I did teach you diamond cutter. You were not here that day, Satan. You were not here that day. Okay? Have time. I enjoy you all. I love you all. Thank you for being here for my TED Talk. We're going to end with Irish Karaoke Misery. Okay? And I'm going to be putting out a video probably tonight or tomorrow. You did use the word at Illuminati at dinner tonight. Very proud of you. You can absolutely turn the diamond cutter upside down. I appreciate it. Okay, now you're sending me pictures of boobs. I didn't even see one penis in there. All right, I love you guys. Sad Irish Karaoke. Tomorrow we're going to compare experts in the Karen Reed trial or tonight. God bless. Thank you so much. Remember to sing this loud and proud and enjoy the sadness and the misery. Good night.
I can see by your gravestone you were only 19. The sad misfortune came over me, but the sorrow and the suffering died of a fever. Oh.